YouTube, Captain Mac here, and welcome to another stuffy but exciting episode in the life of a virtual airline pilot. And I say stuffy because I'm all stuffed up again. It seems to happen this time of year. As I get stuffier from allergies, maybe it's time to do another in-depth tutorial like my Dash 8 cold and dark start tutorial where I was so stuffed up I couldn't even recognize my own voice. But either way, we've got an exciting day actually ahead of us today. We're flying out of one of my favorite airports, Phoenix, of course, and we're making two trips into one of my favorite airports, which is Burbank. Interesting note, as much as I like flying into Burbank in the real world, I've never done it on the simulator, so it's going to make it for a lot of fun today. We've got 3 flights for today's duty day, so we definitely want to get that knocked out as quickly but as safely as possible. So it's going to be a pretty busy day. A lot of briefings, a lot of departures and arrivals and all of that good stuff. But as you can see, Phoenix to Burbank, we're going to start out with that one, and then Burbank up to Las Vegas, which is crazy busy up there, and then Vegas back down to Burbank. And that's going to wrap it up for our duty day. And we're going to be staying at the Marriott tonight, which is going to be a good time. Of course, I'm going to be sleeping in my real bed, but hopefully we get all 3 of these flights knocked out today without any issues, and then if all goes well, I might actually be able to record the next duty day worth of flights too, because as many of you know, the website for PVA was down for about a week. Something happened. They were doing some transition work or something with schedules. I forget what exactly. But anyway, what ended up happening is the website went kaput, and we weren't able to do any flights. So as a result, they've extended the necessary completion date to actually finish this challenge. Now, I don't know if we're going to be able to finish it because I'm struggling to get, we're on like week 3 of the challenge, and I'm still trying to complete flights on week 1. So I'm going to get as many done today as I can, but part of what's making this take a little bit longer, and I just want to throw this out there, I made you guys a promise when I started flying as Captain Mac that I would not fly any flights with PVA as Captain Mac without recording them. And so I have to record all of these flights, and of course that adds to the amount of time that it takes. If I was just flying them, I'm sure I'd be caught up because you can just crank out some flights. But doing the recording obviously takes a little longer. So we don't want to spend a whole lot of time yapping here. That's our flight schedule for the day. So let's go ahead and hop on over to the sim. I was about to say the website. Remember, we're not going back and forth to the website for this challenge. We're going to stick with just the flight schedule. This is our duty day. This is what we got going on. So let's get it cracking. Let's hop into the sim, fire up our A cars because we got to get credit for the flights, and we can get rocking and rolling. Alrighty, folks, first thing we want to do is go ahead and get the 8 cars fired up. I just want to get that out of the way so I don't forget. You can see I've already gone in and grabbed the next bid, Southwest Airlines Flight 1025 Charlie in this case. Phoenix to Burbank. Excited about this little flight. And you can see our current location is Phoenix, so our last PIREP was approved. No problems there. But let's go ahead and set up, grab a previous route here, see what they got available, if anything. There we go. And that's pretty close to what we're actually flying. So we'll go ahead and take that one. And let me just grab this guy so that I can see what I'm doing here. So we're looking at flight level 400. I don't know if we're going to make it that high. We'll see. We'll put it up there, 400, and we'll see what happens. So flight level 400, she's ready to rock and roll. Scheduled for 737-700. That's what we're actually flying. Yes. I've already started. I have a little surprise for everybody today. Throw that over here. And there's your little surprise. We're going to fly a different livery today. And so I want to take just a moment here, and I don't want to spend too much time on this because obviously we got a lot of flying to do, but I want to take a moment and talk about the repaint challenge and a couple of decisions that I've made. So first of all, I've received 3 repaints from you guys, from 3 different individuals. 2 of those look fantastic. One of them I can't tell because when you sent me the files, I loaded everything up, double, triple, quadruple checked. Everything is the way as it should be, but it will not show up in the sim. I don't know why. So please re-email it to me. See if you can figure out why it's not working. Something. But all of that being said, here's what I've decided for the repaint challenge. So you remember what I initially said was I'm going to choose one of those repaints, and that's going to be the one that we're going to fly every time we fly a 737. And because we want to be able to do the service-based failures. But here's what occurred to me. Come on, brain function. Here's what occurred to me. We'll fly different 737s. So like right now we're flying for Southwest. If we just fly that 737-800, that's not how a real Southwest pilot does it. He bounces around between all the different 737s, and so I kind of want to do a little bit of that as well. But I still want to turn on service-based failures, and I still want to use your guys' repaint. So instead of choosing one repaint to fly for all of my 737 flights, what I'd like to have is a 737 6, 7, 8, and 900. And I mean, really, the most common are the 700 and the 800. So I'm kind of torn between the two, but I already told you guys you can submit up to 3 entries, and you know, I've only gotten 3 total. So I'd like to see some entries for the 700 and maybe some entries for the 900 as well. All the same requirements, just a slightly different aircraft, and that way I can rotate between them, but I can turn service-based failures on all of them, and hopefully we'll run into some situations where we have some emergencies. So I already told everybody you can submit up to 3 entries. I think I mentioned that, and the deadline was the 15th of December, which is approaching very quickly. Well, it's the holidays. It's Christmas time, right? It's New Year's coming up. So I've decided to extend it by 1 month to give everybody who might be interested an opportunity to submit a repaint. Now, of course, you don't have to, but I'd really like to see some more submissions. So we're going to go ahead and extend it out to January 15th, and then come January 15th, what I have is what I have. So it'd be great to see some more, but there you have it. Enough talky talk. We know what our flight is for the day. So let's hop on into the aircraft here. Give it a second to load in. And I believe, come on, there we go. Wouldn't make any noise. I need to go to FSU IPC and assign the axis, because I know I haven't done it yet. Because I just loaded this aircraft in today. So there she is, PMDG 737. I can click on that, and now everything will work the way it's supposed to. And that means we can hop right in and get everything started. Now, to kick it off, we need to get our ground power on. So let's pop this guy up and hold the menu button down. Whew, sorry I'm so stuffy, guys. Go into... Is it setup? No, it's menu or FS actions, ground connections, ground power, and then real quick, because it's supposed to be the way Southwest actually has it set up. So I guarantee there's no call outs. So it should be is it equipment? I can't remember now. All of a sudden, engines double D rate, no air. We do want a short field package. You need it to fly into Burbank. We don't need a flight test package. See, they turn the altitude callouts off. I guess Southwest Airlines doesn't use them. I don't know. But I like to call them all. It just, I just like it that way. I don't know. I like to hear the callouts. I think it adds to it a little bit, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, so there we go. Minimums call, we want that as well. And there we go. Callouts are set up. So go back here, and we need to go and take care of fuel. Now, I'm going to pop up this little comment here. And as you can see, I haven't been really doing the fuel right. So what happened was, for some reason, when I do my PFPX, that's what I use to plan my flights. This here will give me about 2,500 pounds of fuel left over, but that's not really correct. It should be probably closer to double that, 5,000 to 6,000 pounds of fuel left over. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, for this flight, now I planned these flights already in advance. That was the thing. These were done before I saw that comment. I didn't want to go back and redo the planning because I'm lazy. So what I'm going to do here is I think I'm just going to add 3,000 pounds to this. So we're going to make it 12,300 pounds. And that should put us right around that 5,000 pound mark. But as you can see from that comment, it should be a little different. Now, I'm not exactly sure how to set it up properly inside PFPX so that it automatically gives me that fuel, because I thought I was already set up for the 45 minutes of extra time and all of that stuff. I thought I already had that done, but apparently not. And that actually makes sense. 2,000 pounds of fuel isn't going to give me that much time. And we saw that. We're critical low on fuel when we did that go around coming into Phoenix. There's not 45 minutes of fuel left there. So that's something to think about, something to consider. But there you go. I appreciate the comment. I'm going to start doing that a little more, popping comments up on here like that, just so that everybody gets an opportunity to see them. Just because I really appreciate the comments. You know, they make a big difference, especially when they're just generally helpful comments. I don't appreciate when somebody's being a jerk, but I appreciate generally helpful comments. So 12,300 pounds is what we're going to go with today. So get the fuel done. That's taken care of. And also, so somebody mentioned with GSX that closing the doors before closing the doors and then reopening them when you first load in will make it so that GSX isn't such a problem. So I've already done that, but I'll do it again real quick. So just close the door, let it close. I did it using the Shift E, so I just want to make sure that I don't have any issues. So I'm going to let it close and then reopen, and hopefully that will prevent any issues with our GSX. Okay. Oh, it won't let me go to FMC yet because I don't have any power on the aircraft. Dirt. So, let's get GSX going here. Request boarding. There we go. And my beautiful wife just walked in. So I'm saying good morning to her. Good morning. Hi, honey. All right, let's get some power on the aircraft. We know we have ground power now. Emergency lights on. Battery can come on, and then ground power on. There we go. Somebody also said that you can just leave these on nav. And I'm sure you're 100% right about that, but I can't bring myself to do it. So when they come to a line, I'm going to flip them over to a line anyway. Hello. And that's what we're going to go with. Passengers are starting to come on the aircraft, so we can start getting things set up here. Hello. Get that speed brake out of the way. I had to grab a drink of something real quick. Dual FMC operations restored. Hello. Excellent. Clear those out. Actually, I don't want this one there yet. I'm going to leave this here because I'm going to need to take care of doors and all that stuff. Nav data out of date. How is I just updated it? That's not out of date. December 8th to January 4th of 17. Yeah, it's not out of date. That's kind of weird. I wonder why it said that. Anyway, position initialization. Set our IRS position. That was weird that it said the nav data was out of date even though it's not. Somebody else left a comment. I'm trying to keep up with these where they said there was a quick way to select your route. And I'm trying to remember what that was now. Click on company route. And then I've got 9 pages worth. And then you scroll through. This is instead of typing it in, is what it boils down to. Let's see. We're going Phoenix to Burbank, right? There we go. Phoenix to Burbank. Select that and hit execute. And there you go. It puts it in for you. And then you just put in the flight number. 1025. And put that there. Now, coincidentally, as I'm popping up these comments here, I do have a question that I really need you guys to address. You can see that I'm removing part of the name for the individual that made the comment. Now, I'm a little torn on that issue because it could go either way. I mean, if you look on YouTube and find the comment, you can see the individual's name. But at the same time, do you have a problem with me, with your name showing up in the video? I imagine that most of you don't. But what I need is I need some solid feedback. So as many of you as possible, please just comment, whether or not you would have a problem with your name, your name and your comment showing up in my video. If enough people say, hey, I don't really want my name showing up, then I'll keep doing what I'm doing. But if the majority of you say, yeah, it's not a problem, then I'm going to start popping up your name. And what I'll say is, if I start doing that and you don't want your name to show up, your YouTube name to show up on here, then when you leave a comment, please just put a little note on the end that says, if you use this comment in a video, please don't show my name. Sounds silly, but some people take that stuff very seriously. So anyway, performance initialization. Click on our zero fuel weight twice. That gives it to us. Our reserves now, we want them to be around 5,000, right? That's what we said. So we'll go 5.0. And our cost index, we've been flying 85. That's been working pretty well if I remember correctly. So 85, and then we're going to flight level 400. There she is. Sorry. Execute that, and then we could grab our average cruise wind out of active sky. I'm just not going to mess with it right now. As far as our N1 limit, we're using the longer runway. I've had a couple of comments talking about D rates and how they're better for the engines and all of that stuff. So let's go ahead and do a D rate 1 here and a climb 1. And that maybe we could probably do it even more. But I'm going to go with that one. That's what I'm going to use. So I am going to D-rate on this one, but I'm not going to go to D-rate 2. And just so you know, if you look, the normal takeoff's 24,000 pounds of thrust. Down here, this is actually takeoff B. This is a thrust bump. So if you're using a really short runway, you would probably use takeoff B and use that extra thrust there. Okay, so moving to the takeoff page. Lots of talk here. We need to get going, don't we? We're going to do flaps 10, of course. And our center of gravity, click it twice, 25.9, and a trim of 4.88. And let's see, does it show us? We're at 4.0. I'm going to guess, well, it's going to show me, isn't it? So that little tooltip's handy. I bet that's close right there, right? Nope, that's too high. Come on, that's got to be spot on, right? Whoop. Oh, it's like jumping around on me a little bit. Why is it jumping around? Close enough. 4.86. That's what we're going to go with. And we haven't done departure or anything like that yet, and we haven't finished aligning the IRS, so it's not even giving us that option. But they should be good now, because I think I have them set to align quickly. I got to remember to pop all the way up here. So click them back to nav. And there we go. They are aligned. So we're good on that. But we still need to take care of our departure and arrival. So, departing Phoenix, we're using, there it is, BXK4 off of runway 25 right. So, 25 right, BXK4, and we're transitioning at PMD. Yes, PMD. And you'll get all of that during the departure briefing. So, execute that. Take a look at our legs page real quick. That looks like exactly what I expected it to look like. So, this should be a little dog leg to the left and then back to the right. So let's change views. Let's do that. And if we look at that, so it's a little dog leg left and then back to the right, and that's exactly how it's supposed to be. And you'll see that again during the departure briefing. Holy crap! I did not know that you could get a vertical profile. And you know what? I think I saw a comment on this too. If you hit the center button twice, you can get a vertical profile thing on there. There you go, vertical profile. Hit the center button. So by centering it, it puts us on the compass rose, and then you hit it again, and it gives you a little vertical profile thing there. So that's kind of cool. Excuse me. All right, lots of coughing going on today. All right, hop back down here. Man, these allergies are killing me, guys. Takeoff page. Now we've got our V speeds in there. It is a dry runway, so we're going to go on that. 123 is our takeoff speed. I'm sorry, 115 is our rotate speed, 123 is our climb speed, or V2. Sorry, I had to get a drink there. I'm dying. And so we're going to go on all of that. Now, we can go ahead and put our arrival in right now, and you'll see why when we do the arrival briefing, but basically they're right on top of each other. So if I go here and I go to the arrival, it's going to be the Lynx 8, and guess where it's coming from? PMD. And you'll see that when we do the briefing. So we're good on that. So back to the legs page. Make sure we don't have any discontinuities. Out to BXK, curative, that looks right. Deck is PMD, and then we're on to the arrival there. And good to go up to Van Nuys. Now we're probably going to remove Van Nuys. I'll show you why. You'll see why when we get to those briefings. We're just not there yet. So, and I think that is it. Let's see. We're good on this here. Acceleration height. Acceleration height, cruise. That was really quick. That actually got set up a lot faster than I intended. Looks like we're actually done loading, except for whatchamacallem. the bags probably. Okay, so let's go through a few things here. Let's get the yaw damper on. Let's get the fuel pumps on. We're not going to need the center fuel pump. Somebody also said to me that for this light here, so this is nav lights and strobe light. So if I go to steady, which is down, that's the nav lights. And then when I get ready to take off, I go to up to strobe and steady, and that gives me nav lights and strobe lights. So that's good. So we get all of those on. We're going up to 40,000 feet. Or we're going to try to anyway. And then our landing altitude, I got to pop this up over here. Doesn't matter. You can see I've got a lot of them there, don't I? We are at 778 feet. So let's get as close as we can to that. 750 will be good. Probe heat actually stays off for the moment. Window heat comes on. We can turn the hydraulic pumps on. Auto on that. Left and right packs can go on auto. All the bleeds are on. We're good there. Seatbelt signs can come on at this point. Give the attendant a call. Let her know we're getting close to being ready to push back. Put that on both because that's the way I like to do it. And I think we're about ready to start the APU here. There are a couple more things we want to do. Ground proximity warning test.
Glide slope. Pull up. Wind shear. Wind shear. Wind shear. Terrain. Terrain. Pull up.
Okay, and I think she's done. And you can see that I set the altimeter while we were waiting on that. Let's go ahead and crank this up. We don't have any at or below altitude restrictions on the way out, so we can take this straight up to 40,000. Oh, stuffy, stuffy, stuffy. It's the most stuffy time of the year. For me, anyway. I love Christmas, so Christmas is fun. Now, we're supposed to set this to V2, right? Which was 123. I don't really like doing that. That just seems weird to me. But I'm going to do it. We'll do it. That's the way it says to do it. So we're set to V2. Flight directors need to come on. Runway heading is... I don't know it off the top of my head, to be honest with you. Oh, what is the runway heading? Let me pull one of these up again. I've got tons of charts over here, don't I? The runway heading for us is 258 degrees. I should probably just leave those charts up over here, huh? So let's set that in the heading and course. So 258, probably could have gone the other way, would have been much quicker, huh? 258. Yes, it's quicker going this way. And 258, there we go. Let's test our TCAS.
TCAS test. Pass.
Sweet. Turn it on. We've got our squawk code set there. Ah, this is the one. This is the one I was messing up with last time, isn't it? The fire test that I couldn't seem to get right to save my life. Good there. Good there. Good there. And good there. Fire test. And then this is the cargo. Excellent. Fire test complete. And I think that's everything except turning on the APU. So here's what I'm doing. Fire up the APU because it takes a minute anyway. And as that's firing up, let's go ahead and take a look at our checklist. Flight control panel is checked. Yaw damper is on. Fuel system's good. Fuel pumps are on as required. We checked the electric panel. Window heat is on. Probe heat is off. Anti-ice is off. Hydraulics panel's been checked. System A and B switches are on. Air conditioning panels checked. Left and right packs are on auto. Isolation valve, it says they have it open. I think it's on auto, and I'm going to leave it on auto. Pressurization panel, we're good on that. Flight altitude is set for cruise. Landing altitude is set for destination. Exterior lighting is done as required, and we're on the center switch for the ignition. FMC initialization is complete. Minimums aren't set up. Now, another comment here. Somebody said for the minimums, you're supposed to use radio for ILS, like Cat 3 ILS, and then Baro for come on, brain function, for visual landing. So if we said we're at 778, so we'd be 978 would be our barrow, right? I think I got that right. Maybe I'm screwing it up. That's why I like radio. Radio's easier because radio altimeter is just a direct distance above the ground. So we'll go to 978. But I'm pretty sure I got that right. And as you can see, that's not that far from the altitude that we're at right now. Flight path vector, we're good on that. Altimeter's been set to the local. Mode selectors on map, which is correct. Range selector as desired, center as desired. Course is set, flight directors are on, auto throttles are off, heading is set to runway heading, altitude we're good for initial clearance all the way up to 40,000, autopilots are off, primary flight display has no flags on it, auto brake RTO, we didn't do that yet, there we go, auto brakes RTO, let me get those speed brakes back down. Engine instruments are good, we're not doing anything with the radios except the transponder which is set. Speed brake is down, thrust levers are idle, engine start levers are in the cutoff position, and stabilizer trim is set. So that's the engine cutoff levers, and that's the stabilizer trim, obviously. And that takes us back. That takes us to the pushback and start checklist. So, a little stretch there. I'm still trying to wake up. So I'm going to take 5 minutes here. Talk with the wifey because she just got up. I want to spend a few minutes with her, and then I'm going to hop back on here. We're going to push and start and get this thing rocking and rolling. Alright, so we're rocking and rolling here. Let's go ahead and let's make sure the parking brake is set. And APU's up and running now. We're good on that. Turn the ground power off in case it didn't do it on its own. And then back down here. I don't know why that jumped back, but anyway, ground connections. We don't need the pitot covers; those can come off. We don't need the wheel chocks or the ground power. So ground power off, wheel chocks off. Let's make sure doors are closed. You know what I didn't do? Because I'm an idiot. I never opened those cargo doors, did I? Okay, let's go ahead and stop GSX for a moment. Oops, I never opened the cargo doors, and I'm not going to wait for him to load them now. So. Let's go ahead and close that front entry door there. Get the jetway moving back now. That was my bad. I messed up. Such is life. Everything else should be good to go here, so we can go to the FMC now. Put this on the progress page. Looking good there. Fire GSX back up. Good times. Prepare for pushback and departure. Southwest, of course. Nose right, tail left. No, I don't want to start before pushback. That's kind of a weird option. I've only ever flown out of one airport where you actually did that, but that's because they didn't push back at all. So, anyway, let him do his thing.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Excellent. We're just about ready as well. Fantastic. Okay, so we need to take the packs off. And isolation valve, it was open, so we're good on that. I'm just double checking here. That can stay as is. The bleeds are good.
Locking gear.
Oh my goodness. He takes forever though, doesn't he? I thought they sped that up, but I don't really think so. I thought they were supposed to, but they certainly didn't. Anyway.
Departure check completed. Live has been inserted. Release parking brakes. Commencing push. All engines clear. Start that wheel.
Alright, fantastic. So as usual, we're going to be starting with engine number 2, which is the one on the right, and we want to roll it over to the ground start. As soon as it does that, we can hop down here and you'll see that our N2 is starting to come up already. When the N2 gets past 25, then you... Wow, did he like immediately go to the right? No, he's just swinging it out already. When it gets past 25, that's when we can introduce fuel. Anything before that should technically cause a hot start. So there's 24 and there's 25. Go ahead and bring it in. And that is coming from a 737 training captain from a major U.S. airline. I will not say who he is because he's asked me not to. I just like to dim those a little bit. I don't like that grayish look to them. by dimming them all, they all look black on the background, and it looks better to me. Oh, swinging it all the way out and around. She should have fired by now. There she goes. So when that clicks off, that means the engine's running. It just needs to stabilize now, which it's coming pretty close already. And as she stabilizes, we can go right into starting engine number 2. Same thing, waiting for it to come up to 25. And as soon as it hits 25, we can introduce fuel to the system. Still waiting. That's one of the funny things about making videos, is when there's nothing really going on, you're supposed to try and find something to say, right?
Set parking brake.
Set parking brake, and there's 25, so we can fire it up. And while they're disconnected and all of that good stuff, we'll let that engine come up and stabilize. And as it's doing that, let's go ahead and take care of the push and start checklist. I guess technically this should have gone before we pushed and started, right? So I'll probably pop it up before I say this, but passenger boarding was complete, doors are closed and locked, clearance for push is good, throttles were idle, start levers were off, packs were off, APU is running, bleed air pressure's been checked, fuel pumps are on.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass main removed.
Anti-collision lights on, parking brake released, pushback's complete, parking brake is now set, and ground crew is out of the way. That all should have been done right before we pushed, so that's why you saw it before we pushed, but we didn't talk about it until now. Now what we need to do is go through our after start checklist.
Right is clear.
Thank you, sir. And in order to do that, let's do this. There we go. Didn't want to turn off at first. Taxi light can come on. That stays where it's at. Probe heat can come on. Packs can come back to auto. That guy stays where he's at. APU bleed can go off. Recirc fan is on auto. We're good on that. I'm just going through it in my head here real quick. We can set the flaps. You see we're going to be doing flaps 10, so that's what they're coming to. I think this is a before takeoff, arming the auto throttle. Let me check my list here real quick. Yep, we armed that on the before takeoff checklist. So, everything else should be good to go here. I've already got the track IR on, so we don't need to sit around and wait. We don't have a very long taxi, but because you know how I am, the taxi and departure briefings are going to be a little bit long. So we're going to go ahead and kick those off right now. A little jump here. There it is. Bring those parking brakes off. Did they come off? They did. And let's get rolling. And as we're starting to pull out here, let's go ahead and jump right into the taxi and departure briefings. Alrighty, people, let's take a quick look at this taxi route here. It's very, very simple. We're over here on, it's called the S2 concourse on the chart here, but it's actually the D or Delta concourse as far as the airport is concerned. So that's where we're at, is on the S2 here. And we're going to be taking runway 25 right, so push back with the nose of the right, tail to the left. And we can cross over at any one of these, 11, 12, Delta 13, doesn't really matter which one we cross over at, but we're going to obviously be holding short here at, excuse me, at Echo 13 for our departure on 25 right. Now, ATIS is on 127.575. It's still early, people. Give me a break here. Tower for runway 7 left and 25 right, that's us, is 120.900. So notice that they have different frequencies for the tower depending on where you're at. And that's pretty common actually, north side, south side, or east side, west side of the airport. That's what they'll do. Anyway, well, let's jump over and take a quick look at this departure, and then we can get going here. Okay. Now, I've found it's just easier to just go straight from the ground chart to the departure, and instead of doing two different recordings, and that's why you see me doing it this way now. But anyway, so we see a couple lines down in here, no real information, but you see all these dotted lines. Oh yeah, by the way, we're taking the BXK or Buckeye 4 departure. Yeah, I said that right, didn't I? Yeah, no, maybe not, doesn't matter. So these dotted lines represent our little in setup here. Stupid allergies. So here's the way this works. When we depart, you can just kind of make out all 3 runways there. So this is runway 26 up here, 25 right, and then the little guy right there is 25 left. Obviously we're on 25 right, but the procedure is the same for all, so I don't even know what the big deal is. You know, they should just draw it for one of them and write procedure same for all runways. Anyway, carrying on. As we depart here, we'll fly runway heading until we hit 1,550 feet, and then we'll bang a left to 240 degrees and fly that down until we're 13 nautical miles from PXR, which as you can see is the Phoenix VOR here. So we should technically have our VOR tune, our nav1 tuned in 115.6. Now, of course, I'm recording this before we do the flight, so what I'm really hoping for is that when I program everything into the FMC, it does this for me, because I just don't want to mess with it on the departure. It's not that it can't be done or that it's overly difficult. It's that, sorry for the cough, it's that, 1, I'm doing the workload of 2 people, and 2, I'm lazy. I don't want to do it. So, I'm just being honest with you here. But anyway, when we hit to 13 from PXR, we'll bang right to 280 degrees until we catch that 077 degree radial from BXK, or Buckeye VOR, this guy right here, another cop. Boy, my allergies have been bad these past couple days. Anyway, once we catch that, we'll bang a left, and I'm just looking here. It says distance 110.6 BXK. Is that what it's saying right there? No, that's the VOR. I'm not understanding that. Anyway, as soon as we hit that, then it's one of 3 different routes. And for us, it's going to be the middle one here. So we're going to take the 269 degree radial out here to Kuriv, then a left to 260 degrees to Decus, and then out here to Palmdale. And that is our exciting departure. A little bit of mountainous terrain. Not too bad. Nothing that's really going to affect us. There's a mountain here called South Mountain. We're going to be past it before we make any of these turns. Just really nothing to worry about as far as terrain is concerned. Departure control is going to be on 126.80. In case you're wondering yourself, where on earth did he find that? It's this little green box up here, because remember, on Lido charts, the frequencies are always in green. And I think that's it. So let's go. Alright, rolling into our before takeoff checklist, flows, all that good stuff. I forgot to arm the LNAV VNAV, which I believe we were supposed to do before taxi, right? And of course I didn't do the taxi checklist either. I'm just a soup sandwich today. What's new, right? Let's arm the auto throttle. All of that stuff set up. Master caution light is off. That's this guy right here. Recall, checked and clear. So you click on this, nothing. And I don't know if you have to click both or not, to be honest with you. Next one is flight controls. And yes, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see from all of these comments, several of you know exactly how to check the flight controls in this aircraft. I did not. So we're going to go over that right now. And in order to do that, as you can see from those comments, you need to hit the system button right here. And there you can see the flight controls pop right up. That's fantastic. But there's a catch. When I first did it, it didn't pop up. And there was a particular comment that mentioned this guy. And there you have it. You need to go into the menu, PMDG setup, aircraft, and displays. And then you want to go to page 9 of 9. And it's this guy right here, FCS indicator. If I turn that off, see, flight control's gone. Turn it back on. Flight control's on. I can also turn on brake temp. That's a good one to have as well, isn't it? So I turned both of those on, and now we can properly check the flight control. So once again, you see how you set it up there, and then you hit the system button under multifunction display here right next to the auto brake, and now we can check our flight control. So starting with full left, there she is. Full right, yes sir, and neutral, and then full up, full down, and neutral, and then our rudder, of course, full left, full right, and neutral, and our brake temp, of course, looks fantastic. And then once we're done, we just click on the engine button right here, and that puts us right back on the original display. So that's fantastic. Let's see what else we got here. Flaps are set. We show 10 on here. We show 10 here, so we're good to go on that. Trim has been checked. We could double check. It was supposed to be 4.88. We're at 8.6. Flight directors are on. Takeoff briefing is complete. Takeoff clearance has been obtained. Strobe lights need to come on. And once again, thank you for that comment on strobe lights. So there we go. Strobe lights are on. See, I'm learning. Wing lights are on. Landing lights need to come on. Runway turnoff lights need to come on. Taxi lights need to go off. Engine start switches go to continuous. That's one to the right. Auto throttle has been armed, and transponder is on TARA, which we did that before we pulled out, which means we're good to go. We can pull out here onto the runway. A little jump here as the track IR comes on. There it is. And let's pull her out on the runway. Just a little bit of throttle. Don't need much to get this thing moving. She's really light. Double check. Make sure there's nobody coming in. You never can tell with FSX. We've got, that says TA only. If we click the traffic button here now, we get our traffic. Okay. And you see she rolls really easy. A little bit of chop in here, probably due to the scenery. You can see in the background there I have removed the photoreal scenery that I had in here. I just didn't like not having the lights and all that when we flew in. It's really nice when I'm doing VFR flights around here and stuff like that. It's really nice, but overall I really like the lighting, and I wish we'd have had it when we flew in here the other day. So alright, pull her onto the center of the runway there. And any last minute checks here? Let me grab my checklist, put it in front of my face so I don't give you a headache. Heading bug is in line with the runway. We're good on that. Yep, it's just all the takeoff stuff. So let's bring the throttles up. It says 40% on here, and then release the brakes. So you can see that little thing tells us where we've actually set them at. So bring it up to 40%, release the brakes, and as we start to roll, let's hit the toga button. We see the toga's kicked in. Remember, it's a D-rated takeoff on this one, so they won't go to full throttle. The toga button is, we still hit the toga button, but what we programmed into the FMC is what's going to give us our actual thrust rating. Coming up on V1 here, as soon as we hit that, hands will come off the throttle.
V1. Rotate.
There's rotate. We certainly could have used a lower D rate, but we didn't. So pull it up to that flight director there. Looking fantastic. Positive rate of climb gear coming up. And she wants us to go up a little bit more. This sucker likes to climb, doesn't it? But we should get a thrust reduction here shortly. Woo-wee! We're already past 1,500 feet, so we need to start that left-hand turn, don't we? Yes, sir. I'm going to go ahead and put that autopilot on, let it fly it. There's the thrust reduction I was looking for. I was surprised it didn't have us turn in a little sooner. We were supposed to turn, you can see on here, we're supposed to turn at 1,500 feet. So I'm not really sure why it did. Oh, you know what? It was probably 1,500 AGL. That's why. I'm an idiot. Let's hit this twice. I like that. That profile looks pretty cool. Let me turn track IR off here. Little jump. There she is. We can start bringing flaps up. And of course, once we get above the little up marker there, then we can take flaps all the way up. That's our minimum speed for flaps up right there, and as we're coming above it, we'll go ahead and bring the flaps all the way up. It'll take them a second to travel anyway, but we'll sniffle here. I'm quite stuffy. Alright, there's it coming up. We can turn the auto brakes off at this point. Flaps are just about done with their travel. We can turn the landing gear, put the landing gear lever in the off position. And let's jump, well, let's see, what are we at, 4,300? Yeah, we're looking good. So let's jump into our after takeoff checklist. Positive rate of climb was established. Gear is up. Climb speed V2 plus 20. We're good on that. Pitch was reduced for the thrust reduction. We're good on all that. We're on autopilot, of course. We're on the VNAV mode. It says speed 250 or VNAV. We're a little bit of both. Gear is in the off position. Auto brakes are off, and engine starters need to come off. Go. Not ground. Off. There we go. And then it would be climb. For the climb checklist would just be the VNAV engaged as appropriate, seatbelt signs off 10,000, altimeter set to standard once you get above 18,000, all of that good stuff. So basically what we're going to do here is as I climb up, zoom that out just a little more, as I climb up, once we get above 10,000 feet here, landing lights obviously are going to come off. as well as runway turn-off lights, and then we'll set the altimeter once we go above 18,000. And that is it, folks. So I'm going to take care of that off screen. There is not any elevator music yet. That is coming after the third departure of the day. So I will see you shortly for your top of descent, actually, is when you'll see me next. That'll be shortly for you and a while for me. Alright, so for those of you who were paying attention when we did our departure briefing way back then, on the Lynx 8 arrival for Burbank Airport, our arrival actually starts, it technically would start like way out here somewhere, but we have a waypoint of Palmdale, which is our first waypoint after our, is our first waypoint after our departure and our first waypoint now on our arrival. Another cough. Oh, my throat's driving me nuts. So anyway, so since Palmdale's, it's basically our in-between waypoint. It's the only waypoint we have coming off the departure and coming into the arrival. We're going to take advantage of it. Then as soon as we come off of it, we're going to hit radio 240 here. Oh my goodness, down to Janney, then to Eiffel. Woo! Trying to come to life here. Then to Lynx, which I think we've flown that waypoint before. And then we're going to cruise. Now this is funny, there's a little note right here. So we're going to fly straight down here from Lynx to VNY, which is the Van Nuys, however you say it, airport and VOR. And it says right here, do not mistake this airport, do not mistake KVNY for KBUR, Burbank. This is us right over here. Now I can tell you, based on the wind, we're going to be using runway 8, I believe it is, which goes straight towards the mountains, because that's the fun arrival or the fun approach into Burbank. That's why I'm so excited to go there. If you've never flown into this airport in the real world, let me tell you, it is fun. I'm going to tell you why here in a minute. But anyway, so we'll bang a left from there, and then that's going to, I believe, put us on approach. But we're going to take it, when we get to the approach briefing, if we have to adjust this a little bit, we may be swinging out here a little more before taking that approach in. So let's go take a look at that here shortly. Other than that, we've got the Aegis on 134.5, SoCal approach on 120.4, and of course it is a valley, it is the San Diego / LA area. I know they're far apart, but it's like one big city. So anyway, lots of traffic going on. Hopefully we won't run into any issues. I've got my AI traffic turned way down, so there we go. Alrighty, we're going to be on top of the descent here pretty quick, about 40 nautical miles out. Not a lot of work for us to do. We've already taken care of the arrival briefing. You may have noticed that the arrival briefing actually took place during the climb. That's because I wanted to make sure we had enough time to do it, because we were on the arrival not that long after. Well, technically, no, I'm incorrect. We're technically not on the arrival yet, since we're starting at PMD, which is this waypoint here, still 80 nautical miles out. But I didn't do the math right, and so I don't care. I did it already. But we got a couple things to clean up here, get ready for our descent. We want to obviously reduce our altitude on the MCP here. Crank that all the way down. 3,700 is what we're looking for. I'm going to sneeze here any minute. I can feel it coming. It's going to be terrible. Now, other than a little bit of shimmering, which I really hate that it does that, well, the sneeze is trying to work its way in, you will notice that there's quite a bit of cloud cover very low. And in fact, what you will not get during your approach briefing, which will be coming here shortly, I swear I'm going to sneeze, is that it's foggy at our destination. In fact, the fog's all the way down at 1,000 feet. It might have raised a little bit since then, but we'll be flying in ILS anyway, so that'll be fine. Oh, sorry. So as far as the descent goes, our descent checklist really is just monitoring the speed, being prepared at transition altitude to change the altimeter setting, especially since we're going to be flying an ILS. And as a matter of fact, I said it when I set the minimums to barrel, that when you're doing a visual approach, you use barometric pressure, but we're going to be doing radio because we're going to need the precision approach with the fog, if the fog remains. I don't know if it's going to remain, but it's predicted to. So hopefully we'll have fog when we get down there, which would be kind of cool. Break out at about 1,000 feet, be staring at the runway, and it should be a good time. We'll get a much better view of how the autopilot works on flying the ILS, because we can't take control of the aircraft until we're well underneath the fog. That being said, at the same time, who knows? Maybe the fog will drop down and we'll get to do a full Cat 3 ILS. I don't think this one's rated for Cat 1, I think. Yeah, this is a Cat 1 ILS, so I guess we couldn't do a full Cat 3. I'm not really 100% certain on what the difference is. I think it has to do with your visibility. Cat 3 being basically zero visibility. But anyway, enough talk about that. Once we go below 10,000 feet, obviously seatbelt sign will come on. Those are on auto anyway. Lights, landing lights will come on and all that good stuff. We've already briefed the arrival. We're gonna go right into the approach briefing here. Get that knocked out, and then we'll actually start the descent probably during the approach briefing, and that's fine. And then we'll break away at the end of that. Little hiccup there, by the way. We'll break away at the end of that and into our until we get on the actual approach, and then we'll get back on here. I can't even talk today, so what difference does it make? Alrighty, taking a look at the ILS Localizer Z08 approach. You're probably thinking to yourself, what on God's green earth is going on here? I'll tell you what's going on here. All kinds of craziness. And the reason there's all this weird stuff going on, there's really a couple of reasons. One, because they get a lot of fog in the area, so they've got these holds. But also there's another airport, a very busy airport, right here, Van Nuys Airport. And so they've got these different entry points into, this is now, I'm guessing, maybe I'm wrong here, but I think I got this pretty close. They've got different entry points into here, into your initial approach fix, and a hold point in that area as well, and it helps them to control the traffic in the area. Could be wrong on that. If I am, so be it. I know we've got some folks here who've flown into this airport in the real world, so I'm sure you can correct me. Feel free to do so. Either way, instead of coming straight down to Van Nuys on our arrival, as I mentioned during the arrival briefing, we might have changed that up a little bit. We're going to come out here to the initial approach fix at Mikey, and then we're going to bang a left 102 degrees down here to Silex. Now, yes, you know what? Scratch that. Change 12. We're going to just go to Silex. Why mess with it, right? You know what? Why mess with it? Well, I'll tell you why I mess with it. I changed my mind again. I'm losing my mind here, people. The reason we're going to mess with it is because if we're coming on that arrival, we're going to be coming from right here, and then we got to bang this really sharp right, only 6 nautical miles from the runway. I don't like that. So we're going to go back out to Mikey, like I said initially. See, told you we were going to Mikey. A lot of talking there. 7,000 feet at Mikey, then down to Silex, then to 079 degrees, and on to our final approach point there, and our descent. So that was lots of fun, wasn't it? Now, let's get to where the real fun is of this airport, because you're probably thinking to yourself, whatever. Okay, ILS frequency on 109.5, but let's jump down here to our profile view, and let's start with our runway. Our runway length is 1,768 meters. That's right, 1,768 meters. I'm not even going to do the math for how many feet that is. Suffice to say, it's not very many feet. Alright, it's a short runway. It's a very short runway. Oh, and by the way, there's mountains on the other end. This is Beverly Hills over here. There's mountains on the other end. Now, I've flown into this airport in the real world twice with Southwest Airlines, and both times had the distinct joy of landing on runway 8, which we'll be doing today. And here's how it goes when you land on runway 8. You come screaming in at full flaps because there's no way you're landing on this sucker in a 737 with anything less than full flaps. And as soon as you cross the threshold of the runway, you basically cut the power back at about 20 feet, slam it down on the runway as hard and fast as you can, throw on full brakes, full reverse thrust, and hope to stop in time. That's basically how it feels from the back anyway. I'm sure it's probably not quite so dramatic, but the first time I did it, I was sitting on the right side of the aircraft, and as we finally reached that slow enough point, I'm sorry, I was on the left side of the aircraft. We reached that slow enough point to pull off the runway, which you'll see when I show you the ground chart here, or just when we're there, you'll see that the terminal's right there near the end of the runway. And as we pulled off the runway, right, you know what I'm talking about. Finally the aircraft's slow enough to turn, right? And then we turn to the right, and I look out the window, I'm sitting on the left, there's the end of the runway right there. I mean, it's that short. Anyway, that was a lot of talking. Let's focus on the approach here. So 3,700 feet out at Silex, up to our descent point, and this is an ILS, so we're going to let it go ahead and Let it go ahead and intercept the glide slope. I couldn't think of the word intercept there for a second. Down to Buddy and then on in from there, unless of course we have to do missed approach. Missed approach is no joke on this thing, so let's take a close look here. So, for a missed approach, it says 079 degrees at a minimum of, that's what MNM is. Remember, I couldn't figure that out at one point. At minimum 1,300 feet, we're going to make a right turn to heading 210 and intercept the 086 degree radial of the VTU VOR out to VTU and climb to 4,600 feet. So looking up here, what we can see, I wish they did all approach charts like this one, where we can see it all together. So as we can see, it's an almost immediate right-hand turn. The airport elevation is 778 feet. So let's think about that for a second. 778 feet. So if we're doing a missed approach, let's say we're at our minimums of 200 feet, that puts us basically just shy of 1,000 feet. So pretty much as soon as you hit the toga, get the landing gear up, you're making a right-hand turn. Once you're at or above 1,300 feet, you're making that right-hand turn. There are mountains right here. Now, I don't know how it looks in the sim. I don't think I've ever flown in there in the sim, but in the real world, those are some big frickin' mountains right in front of you. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, what else we need to cover in here? We've got our standard 3-degree glide slope. ATIS on 134.5, tower on 118.7, ground on 123.9, and that was probably one of the longest approach briefs we've ever done. So there you have it. Alright, as you can see here, we're just starting to turn at Mikey. We haven't quite gotten into the fog yet, actually. I thought we'd be in it a little sooner, but clearly it's a good bit lower. But that's alright. We need to take care of our approach checklist. And the approach is selected and briefed, and you may recall the frequency was 109.5. I put that in both nav radios, and we're going to need to take advantage of both in case that fog's dropped a little lower than the forecast says. And I believe, what was it, 122.0? Let's try that real quick. 122.0, I think will give us the local weather. Ooh. 0U. There we go. Let's see if that gives us local weather.
Kilo Lima 55, airport information, Oscar 1553, Zulu, weather, wind, calm, visibility 9er, sky condition, ceiling 2,200, broken, ceiling 2,200, Kilo 3, Alpha 6, airport information, Oscar 1553, Zulu, weather, wind 129er, Ax 3, visibility 2.5, sky condition, ceiling 2,000, overcast, ceiling 1,000, overcast, temperature 14, dew point 13, altimeter 3012, advise on initial contact with information, Oscar.
That wasn't our airport though. That's kind of weird. Anyway, okay, so that wasn't our airport. That's got to be another one that's right near us. But anyway, I'm looking at active sky here on the other screen, and we've got the right weather. So nav radios are set for approach. We want to approach the intercept at 180 knots. Let's bring this guy down. And we've already gone in and selected our approach reference. We're going to be doing full flaps, 122 knots, nice and slow. That'll be good. And we can leave flaps where they're at for the moment. And let's go ahead and arm the localizer as we're coming up on it here. So now you can see it's in white, so it's armed. We're good to go. We're just starting to drop into these clouds a little bit, so that's fantastic. The auto brake is set. We're going with max auto brakes on this one. We're going to need them. Auto spoilers are armed. We're good to go on that. Engine start switches to continuous. That's been taken care of up here, so we're good to go on that as well. And then as we get on the final approach fix, or really as we get on the glide slope, the landing gear is going to come down, and we're going to continue our flaps on schedule. So looking pretty good here. We've intercepted the localizer. Let's go ahead and press the approach button, and we should intercept that glide slope here shortly. We're just a little bit below it, and that's where we want to intercept from. We want to intercept from below the glide slope. Let's go ahead and bring that speed down to 160 now. And you can see we're in the clouds now. We're definitely in them. We can see the ground a little bit, but if all goes properly, we shouldn't be able to see that runway until we're almost on top of it. So let's go and bring that next flap setting in. Looking good. Landing gear, let's go ahead and drop that, and that's perfect timing actually. We just captured the glide slope. We'll hit the other autopilot. That was perfect timing. Bring that speed all the way down to 127. Remember, 122 is our landing speed, so 127 is our approach speed. And next setting of flaps coming in. And bring her all the way to full flaps now. Fantastic. So gear is now down and locked. We've got 3 green. We've got landing flaps set. Speed is at VREF +5 or almost there. We've got it set on the MCP. It says you can, oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. And auto land armed as necessary. And of course, we've got the auto land armed because we can't see anything. We are in the thick of it, folks. I like it. I love it. You can see there's the mountain I'm talking about. That's Beverly Hills right there. So the go around's not fantastic. And what was it? 4,600 is the go around altitude. So we've got that set in there. Remember, for our missed approach at 1,300 feet, we make a right turn to 210 degrees. Hopefully we won't have to do that. So let's get this lined up here. Track hour coming on, a little jump here. There it is. You can see we've got a little bit of turbulence as we're coming in here. We will make a decision when we come out of the clouds, if we come out of the clouds, whether or not to take manual control. I think it's only rated up to Cat 1, which means I think technically we have to take manual control. And you can see we're just starting to drop out of the clouds now, 2,000 feet. But we're gonna get them again because there's clouds at 1,000 feet as well. So very foggy. We're gonna kind of be in and out of the clouds here. We cannot see the runway. You can see this is all fog up here. So I'm not 100% certain, but I think technically it's supposed to be rated for Cat 3 for us to go below minimums and still land it. So I think what's going to happen is basically when we get down to minimums, if we don't see the runway, I think technically we're supposed to go around. But if we're at or above minimums and we can see the runway, we need to flip the autopilot off and take control of the aircraft. So I think what I'm going to do to try and help with that a little bit is I'm going to actually go ahead and turn the auto throttle off. And I know that seems a little strange, but let me just get her adjusted here. And I'm going to control the throttles for now, but I'm going to let the autopilot continue to fly the glide slope. And this way, if I have to turn autopilot off, I can do it relatively quickly, and I already have control of the throttles. So there we are at that's our 1,000-foot call out. Still can't see the runway. Plenty of fog. I can just make out the PAPI lights there. I don't know if you can see them yet, but I can see them. So we do have visual on the runway. I'm going to let the autopilot fly it a little further here because it's kind of hard to see, and I might have a cloud move in front of me or something like that. So we'll just keep it where it's at right now. Looking good. You should be able to see the runway by now. We definitely have it in sight, so we're definitely good to land. We haven't hit minimums yet, so I'm not worried about that. So let's go ahead. I think we're good now. Let's go ahead and turn the autopilot off. I hate that buzzer. There it is. She always likes to drop just a little bit when you first turn it off. Alright, let's listen to our callouts then. Drift into the right there a little. You can see how short that runway is. Holy cow.
Minimums. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Oh, I barely pulled back on that yoke and floated. Max auto brakes. Reverse thrust. Oh, that was beautiful. That was awesome. Alright, that's going to look good on the... we got to turn those auto brakes off. Auto brakes off. That's going to look beautiful on the cinematic, isn't it? Okay, so this is our terminal right here, and like I said, I've landed here a couple of times in the real world, not flying, but as a passenger, and I'm telling you right now, By the time they slow down and make the turn off to the turn, I mean, we're right there, and you can see the end of the runway is like right off the wingtip. So I'd say I did pretty good. I managed to stop her pretty quick in there. Let's go ahead and get the spoilers down. Start bringing the flaps up here. Good clean landing. I like it a lot. And we're going to take this next gate down here. And I mean, literally, this is what they do. They come off the runway and they're like right there at the gate. So let's go ahead and turn taxi lights on. Try to do this while paying attention to where I'm going here. I think I got the landing lights off. Fantastic. And let's get that APU fired up because we're going to need it for our quick turn here. And let's see if I can get her parked without too much difficulty. Bring it on in. Technically it should be right about there, I think. We'll see how we did. Track hire coming off, little jump here. There it is, fantastic. Let's go ahead and put the parking brake on. And as soon as that APU's up and running, we can actually shut off the engines. Let's go ahead and take care of this after landing checklist. Speed brake lever is up, flaps are up, probe heat can come off. That's these guys way up here. Engine start switches can go to the off position. Landing lights are off, taxi lights are on, but we need to turn them back off now. Strobe lights can go to the steady position there. Flight directors go off, and all of this gives our APU time to start. Transponder goes to standby. There she is right there, and APU start if needed. And is it ready? The APU is ready. Send the power out. Leave the APU running. Now we can shut the engines off. I hate that light. Okay, so 1 and 2 coming off. Fantastic. APU's got control of the power on the aircraft. So let's hop right over here and go to ground connections. Let's get the wheel chocks in, ground power in, and we don't need to put the pitot covers on. I think we're good to go on that. So we got ground power is connected now. So let's hop up here, turn the ground power on. Fantastic. Did I mess something up? Let's do that. And then APU can come off. Okay, that's good. That's how we want it there. Let's turn the window heat off for the moment. We don't need it on. It's just sucking power. And let's start offloading the passengers here. Request deboarding. Who do we want? Let's use airport terminal services. Fantastic. We need to open up some doors. Turn doors open. And then I believe it's yeah, it's not over wing exits. And then let's get those cargo doors open as well. Fantastic. And while it's doing that, let's go ahead and get our A cars shut down. Bring that over here. We were scheduled for an hour 25 minutes. Took us an hour. Look at this. It's going to be an hour 25 on the nose. I'm going to wait until it hits exactly an hour 25. I'm going to wait those 10 seconds. And then I'm going to stop it right there. And that's absolutely perfect, actually. We did really good on that. I am proud of myself. There's 57, 58, and 1 hour 25 minutes. We'll end the flight there. File the PIREP. Excellent. Let's go ahead and close that out. And I will start it back up before the next flight. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, at Bob Hope. Is it International? No, I think it's just Bob Hope Burbank Airport. That's a cool little landing. That was really neat doing it in the fog, too. I had a good time with that one. So I'm going to let them get everything offloaded here. I'm going to get everything prepped for the next flight, including firing A-cars back up and all of that good stuff. And then I will hop back on here with you guys, and we will start our quick turn procedures. Alright, so I have not actually gone through the shutdown procedure, which we were supposed to do. So we're going to take care of that here in a second, and then we'll restart it. I've got A-cars turned back on. But then we'll get A-cars set up so that we can get this next flight. And you can see the bus is having a hard time there. They're still offloading passengers. That's the idea of the quick turn. We haven't started the boarding process yet. We got to load fuel and all of that stuff first. But I just hopped to a different view here real quick, give you an opportunity to see the next flight briefing. We need to hop inside the aircraft. Give it a second to load because it always does that. And we actually need to do our shutdown checklist. Now, we're not going to shut down completely. We're not going to secure the aircraft. We just need to make sure that we've covered everything. So the brakes are on. Start levers are in the cutoff position. Ground power is on. The doors are open with the stairs already up to the doors. Fuel pumps are supposed to go off, so let's turn those off real quick. Let's see what else. Signs can go off. We never actually told them they could get up. I suppose we got to remember to do that, right? Window heat, we've already turned that off. Probe heat is off. Electric hydraulics can go off. I believe it's just... Yeah, these are the electric hydraulics. These are the engine hydraulics. So electric hydraulics are off. All bleeds off. So we'll turn all the bleeds off. That's good. Isolation valve closed. I'm actually going to leave it where it's at in the auto position. Recirc fan stays in the auto position. External lighting off. We're actually going to leave those on because we're doing a quick turn anyway. Emergency exit lights, we'll leave those on. Battery stays on and ground power stays on. So that's everything for our shutdown checklist, and that means we can roll right into getting prepped for our quick turn here. So first things first is obviously dealing with our flight plan. Let me grab this guy over here. There we go. So here's our flight plan. Now we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to add a little bit of extra fuel. So this right here will leave us right around 2,000. So we're going to add an additional 3,000 pounds. So we're going to put it at 13,355. And that's what we're going to do. It seemed to work pretty well on this one. It left us with, let's look and see what fuel's in here real quick. Fuel, it left us with 5506. So it's pretty darn close. So that's what I'm going to go with for now. And I think just for now I'm going to continue to add 3,000 pounds of fuel to whatever we got going on. So bring this back over here real quick. So we'll be at 13,355 departing via Elmo 8. We'll get the brief on that. Our arrival will be Creso 3. We'll get the arrival on that, or the briefing on that as well. So there's real basic as far as our flight plan goes. Everything's already programmed in here, saved as a company route. So we're good on all of that stuff. No need to stress about it. Let's do the fuel first, though. That way we can turn around and start loading passengers here pretty quick. So we said 13,355. That's what we want our fuel to be. There we go. And we could request GSX to come over and actually load fuel, but I'm not going to mess with that. I think that's kind of... I think it's kind of pointless. Let me get this speed brake lever out of the way a little bit here. So fuel's good at this point. Doors are already in the open position. We'll leave those as they are. And let's hop over here and let's get ready to for our next flight. So starting with route page, actually. So company route. So remember now, there's two ways to do it. I didn't really know the other way. I don't know why. I could type in KBUR to KLAS01 and it'll pull up the route. Or I can just click on company route and I can track that one down. So there's the one coming back. We will be flying in here again today. It'd be kind of cool if we get double the fog again. But let me see if I can find... There it is. KBUR to KLAS. So I can just select it there, hit execute, and there it is, just like that. What's the flight number here? It is 846. Put that in here. Activate the route. Execute. Bam. And let's start setting up our performance. So zero fuel weight. There it is, 107.1. Our reserves are going to be 5.0. Should have let me click on the 5. There we go. Cost index will be 85 again. That seemed to work out quite well for this flight, didn't it? So there's the cost index 85, and our initial cruise altitude on this one is flight level 170 with no step climb. That doesn't even make sense. Why would it do that? Yeah, I'm just looking at this. I didn't notice that before. It says our initial altitude flight level 170, but then it doesn't show a step climb anywhere. That's ridiculous. Why would we fly at 17,000 feet for 231 nautical miles? I'll tell you what we're going to do. It is a very short flight. We're going to take it up to 25,000. So flight level 250. That'll change our fuel usage a little bit as compared to the flight plan, but that's okay. We will be using a normal takeoff on this. Now, we're not taking off on runway 8. We're going to be taking off on 33, I believe, which you'll get during the briefing. So it's a little bit longer, but it's still pretty short. So we're going to use a full takeoff on that. And flaps are going to be 10, which should work out just fine. And then do the center of gravity real quick. And we know the trim's going to be off because we had it trimmed up for approach, right? So we need to be at 4.62, and we're way up here. So let's see how close I can get it on my own. Ooh, that was trimmed way up, wasn't it? Well, it was a very slow approach, though. I'm going to guess right there. How close am I? Ooh, kind of close. 4.60 worked just fine for me. Alright, so let's take care of the departure now then. And like I said, we're taking the Elmo 8 departure off of runway 33. And that's good to go. We hop back. Actually, before I go to takeoff page, let's just check the legs page. Make sure there's no route discontinuities. And if I hop over here, I'm just looking at my departure briefing on here. It's kind of a interesting little simple departure, but there's nothing really for us to worry ourselves about. You'll see it during the departure briefing. So we're good on that. That takes us out to DAG, and then for our arrival, which starts at DAG, it's going to be the Creso 3. So let's go ahead and just put that in right now. We're not going to put the runway in yet, just the Creso 3 arrival transitioning at DAG. And that should give us continuity all the way through. Yep, no route discontinuities. So now we can hop over, and there's a couple ways to do this. I can go to initial reference and then index page, and I can go to takeoff page like that. Or what I typically will do is just click the route page and then click over here to takeoffs. You know, 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other. So we'll put our V speeds in there. 124 is going to be our climb speed. 116 is our rotation speed. And we should be able to start loading passengers now. Deboarding is completed. Fantastic. Let's request boarding. We don't need any catering or anything like that. It's not going to let us, is it? Maybe it is. We'll give it a couple minutes. If it works, great. If not, then we'll restart DSX. So boarding should be going now. We've got our flight plan programmed in here. Let's set this guy up, but we can go straight up to 25,000. There she is, 25,000. And we said 116 is our rotate speed. We're supposed to set it to V2. I'm sorry. We set it to V2, so 124. Flight directors can come on. Arm the VNAV and the LNAV. Those are both armed. Auto throttle stays off for now. Let's see. Runway heading is going to be 335 degrees. Should have gone the other way. It's quicker this way. 335. There we go. And heading, same thing, 335. Okay, fantastic. So we've got the MCP set up. We need RTO on the auto brakes. We don't need to test our ground proximity warning or anything like that. Altimeter is already set to the local setting. I suppose we could probably test the fire again. That's good. What does that one do? Oh no, that's not a button. That's underneath the little lever there. We don't want to pull that. Okay, boarding has started. That's fantastic. There we go, looking good there. And anything else? I think that's it. Pretty much good to go. Let's go ahead and take care of our initial checklist here. We haven't started the APU yet. We could probably fire that up right now. I mean, we're really close here. This is going to be a really... Whoop. Guys on the ground are like, what is wrong with you? Start the APU. Alright, starting up here with the overhead. Yaw dampers on, which it is. Fantastic. Fuel system panel's been checked. Fuel pumps can all come on. Coming on, coming on. There we go. Window heat needs to come on. I should know this already, right? Probe heat will stay off. Hydraulic pumps come on. Packs are in the on position. We'll leave those on until we get to the pre-start checklist. We can go ahead and let's turn the bleeds on as well. We're good to go on those. Anti-ice is off. Hydraulics panel's been checked. A and B switches are on. Air conditioning panel's checked. Left and right packs on auto. Isolation valve is open. I think we left it in the we left it in the open position. Flight altitude set for cruise 25,000. Big difference there. 25,000, and then Las Vegas is actually pretty high up. Let me just double check it here. And boy, that's a terrible view. Where's it at? There it is. 21. Jeez, 2181. It's actually really high up. It's higher than Phoenix. 2181. Sorry, low cough for you there. So let's go 2150. That's going to be nice and close. That should work for us. Exterior lighting as required. Ignition left to right. We leave it in the center. FMC has been initialized. MCP, the course is set. Flight directors are on. Turn that off again. Heading is set to the runway heading. Altitude is set for initial clearance. Autopilots are off. No flags on the primary flight display. Right? Yep, no flags. Engine instruments check. Radios are good to go. Transponder is set. Speed brake is down. Thrust levers are in the idle position. Engine start levers are in the cutoff position, and the stabilizer trim is set. Oh, hold on, I got a sniffle here. Goodness gracious. Okay, I think boarding is complete. Let's turn the seatbelt and turn the passenger signs on. Good to go there. So that should be boarding complete, but let's double check with, it says deboarding complete. Waiting for your action to close left entry aft. Let's pop that up. Doors. Left entry aft. Good to go. See, I took the little green bar off of here because it would keep dinging at you, and it just drove me absolutely cuckoo. Okay, so that's done. You gonna tell me anything else? Let's close these. And we haven't closed the primary door yet. Boarding completed. Fantastic. Okay, so close the left front entry door as well. Return here. Ground connections. Let's make sure we get the parking brake on, which we do. That thing will go away here in a second. Let's hop up top. What do we got? Oh, what did it just do? What was number 4? Oh, it was boarding completed. Okay. If you hit the number, I saw it turn red, flash red, right as we pulled away from it. Okay, APU's up and running. So let's send the power out from the APU. Turn the ground power off. We're going to go on that. Wrong button. Wow, that was really choppy there, wasn't it? Probably because of all the clouds. Disconnect the GPU. Disconnect or remove the wheel chocks. Excuse me. And we're ready to rock and roll. Fantastic. Okay, so now we can prepare for pushback and departure. We need nose right, tail left. No, we don't want to start before. Let's make sure he's coming over. He is. So as they're doing that, I'm going to break away for a minute, check everything, make sure we're good to go, let him get set up, and then we'll hop back on here and we'll take care of the... Actually, real quick, before I do that, the push and start checklist. Passenger boarding is complete. Doors are closed and locked. Clearance for push is obtained.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Throttles are in the idle position. Start levers are off. Packs need to go off. So let's just hop up to this view right here. Packs off. Fantastic. APU is running. Bleed air is good. Fuel pumps
Locking gear.
are all on. And we're ready for pushback. So, be back in just a minute here. Alright, we're ready to rock and roll. He keeps telling me to release the parking brakes. Let's go ahead and do that.
Release parking brakes. Commencing push. All engines clear. Start that wheel.
You can see I started the A-cars while we were away. I guess I forgot about it, but I didn't need to show it either, I suppose, right? So, one thing I did forget to do, and I'll go ahead and do it on here. I don't care. We need to stop the initial recording. So that one is KPHX to KBUR. Save that. That way we can do our... and we need to start the next one. This is so that we can do our cinematics later on. Okay, sorry about that. I should have done that off screen, but whatever. It's not that big of a deal. Let's go ahead and fire up engine number 2. Ground start. Waiting for it to come all the way up to 25 on the N2 there. Let's turn the terrain off for now. It's probably adding to the frame rate hit a little bit anyway. Pretty short push there. Good times, good times. And there she is, 25. I almost said it too early. Alright, engine number 2 starting up.
Set parking brakes.
Parking brake set. Wait for the engine start switch to kick back off. Waiting, waiting, waiting.
Unlocking gear.
We have like a wicked short taxi, but we have...
Tow truck disconnected.
Hold on.
Bypass main removed.
But we have a pretty long taxi and departure briefing because I talk so much, so... Oops. Anyway, 2 coming up now. There you can see the N2 spinning up. Once again, waiting for 25.
Left is clear. Right is clear.
Okay, so we're good to go with those guys. There's 25 going to introduce fuel to the system. While that's happening, let's go ahead and flip on the TCAS because I hadn't done that yet. We're on traffic, so we're good there. Why does it say TA only? It should be TARA, right? That's TARA, so I don't know why it's TA only. Anyway, it is what it is. Let's go ahead and get those flaps set up. I'm just starting to go through the after takeoff checklist, or not after takeoff, after start checklist. We haven't gone anywhere, so it can't be an after takeoff checklist, can it? And as engine number 1 is starting to stabilize there, we can actually roll right into our after start checklist properly. Engine generator's on, so all that means is that we are sending the power back to the APU. That's what I call it. Send it back in. That's just how I remember it. Turn the APU off. Good to go on that. Probe heat can come on. Packs can come on. APU bleed can go off. And let's let the flight attendant know we're going to be heading out here shortly. And the after start checklist now for sure. Engine generators are on. Probe heat is on. Anti-ice as required. We don't need it right now. Engine bleeds are on. Packs are on auto. Isolation valve, we left that on auto, right? No, we left it open. Let's put it on the auto position. That's fine. APU bleed is off. APU is off. External lights as required. We're going to need those taxi lights. We'll do strobe lights when we get ready to go for takeoff. Master caution light needs to be off and check the recall. Master caution light is off. Nothing on that one. Still not sure if I need to check both, but there we go. And that means we are ready to taxi out. Track IR coming on. A little jump here. There it is. Let's get those brakes off. Make sure those came off. Yes, they did. And as we start to roll out here, your taxi and departure briefing. Alrighty, well after that exciting approach and landing in, it's time to head back out. Now, we don't use runway 8 for departure, and I don't think they let anybody use it, even smaller aircraft, and I imagine there's a couple of reasons for that. Now, I could be wrong, but for us, you know, we're going to have a heavier load, heavier fuel, longer takeoff run. We probably don't even have enough runway there for starters. We might. But still, you got those mountains on the other end, a lot of hazards going on. And that's just not, why do that when we've got a longer runway available? And then number 2, of course, it's Beverly Hills out there, so they don't want any airplanes overflying them because they're some assholes. So that's probably the reasons why, but it doesn't matter anyway. The wind is pretty much nil, and so we're going to take runway 33, and there's 2 reasons I want to do that, 3 reasons really, well, probably a bunch of reasons, but anyway. It's closer to us, because we're right here, obviously, it's closer to us, so, you know, why taxi a long time when we can just hop right over here. Number 2 is this right here, this HS1. So when we look at the HS1, that's a notation, by the way, for those of you who are unaware. So we look over here, and you probably can't read it sideways, but I can. It says runway 33 holding position, markings at the northwest corner of the terminal ramp. Okay, so what does that mean? Okay, well, first of all, northwest corner is where? The map sideways. So this is north, and this is west. So the marking should be right here. I just kind of thought it would be interesting to taxi right over here to this little holding area, because you're not holding short of the runway here, okay? That's not how it works. We're going to taxi down the apron here. We're going to be holding short on this little corner here. And we're not going to hold short, just do our normal thing, then we'll taxi over the runway. But that's a hold short point. And it's also interesting because they're probably still landing on runway 8 while we're holding short there. So just good times there. So that's going to be our taxi. ATIS is on 134.5, tower on 118.7. Let's take a look at the departure here. And what looks simple is difficult, but what is difficult is often simple. Does that make any sense to anybody? We're taking runway 33, which is this guy down here. Okay. On the Elmo 8, obviously. So basically, it's this big swing around. Woo! Right? And I'm sure there's a text that goes with this, but I'm simply not going to look it up because... Now listen, I know that's probably... I guarantee somebody right now is going, oh, you lost your mind, you can't do that. Listen, it's a simulation, and it's a simulation, okay? I don't have to get everything perfect. We're supposed to be having fun here at the same time as we're trying to add some realism, okay? So, cut me a little slack, people. Anyway, on takeoff, obviously, as we climb out, we're going to be making a big left-hand turn all the way around to intercept the 095-degree radial from the VNY VOR on down to Elmo. We need to be at or above 4,000 at Elmo, and then we're on course from there. Now, like I said, I'm sure there's a text that goes with this, and that text is probably going to say, on departure, make a left-hand turn to intercept the 095-degree radial for the Van Nuys VOR. I'm just guessing. Just guessing. Maybe I'm wrong. It probably gives an altitude in there, but Elmo at or above 4,000 I think will be good to go, right? SoCal departure on 135.050. And I think that's going to cover it for our taxi and departure briefing. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not so sure these taxi lines are in the right spot here. Or maybe there's just not actually parking for an aircraft that large over there. I don't know. But if we follow this line, we would actually hit that aircraft. And to be honest with you, when we came from over there, I moved out to the side a little bit because I was a little concerned that the wing would be hitting the building. So, yeah, that could just, this is, I don't have a default airport in here. I did find a free version of Burbank. And then the buildings, the terminal building and stuff is the result of that Rex World Airports thing or whatever. But it appears to me the taxi lines are in the wrong spot. So what we're going to do when we taxi out is we're going to actually pull out across the runway here and try and swing up and around so that we don't run into this aircraft here. I've got the collision thing turned off just for that reason, because I've had AI aircraft just plow right into me and stuff like that. So I've turned that off, but we still want to, avoid it. I don't want to go through, run the wing through that aircraft just because I can. So let's take care of our before takeoff checklist here. Master caution light is off. Hit the recall button. Good to go on that. Again, still not sure if I got to hit both or not. Flight controls, we need to check those. So once again, hit the system button here. You see I've already pulled it up. I've got it inside the FMC so that we can have it. So full left. Oh, excuse me. Full right. Sorry for the sniffles. Neutral. Full up. Full down. And neutral. And then the rudder full left. Full right. And neutral. There's the flight control check. Click on the engine to have it back on the engine page. Brakes were good, so we're not worried about that. Flaps are set. We're at 10 here, and we're at 10 down here. I'll show you in case you don't believe me. There we are. We're at 10 there. I know it's kind of hard to see from that view, right? So the little notch right there. That's the guy that tells you where it's at. So we're at 10 on both. Good to go on that. Where are we at here? Trim has been set. Flight directors are on. Auto throttle needs to be armed. Oh, I just did a double take there. I thought I forgot to turn flight directors on. They're on. Takeoff briefing is complete. Takeoff clearance is obtained. Strobe lights can come on at this point. So again, 3 position switch. So now we have strobe and nav both there. Wing lights on. Landing lights on. Runway turnoff lights on. Taxi lights off. Engine start switches to continuous. There we go. The auto throttle, we already armed that. Transponders on TARA. Fantastic. Little jump here as the track IR comes on. There it is. And brakes are already off. Yes, they are. Try not to move my head too quick when I do that. Let's go ahead and start pulling forward here. And once we get her lined up on the runway and swung around, we're just going to roll right into our takeoff. Remember, we're going to use a normal thrust takeoff for this one. Not a bump thrust. We've got 2,098 meters of runway to work with. So I don't think we need to bump that thrust beyond maximum, to be honest with you. We're not that heavy, so I think we're good to go. We should have plenty of room there to sneak past that CRJ, that lovely Alaska repaint. They call that guy in the back, in case you don't know, they call him the Smiling Eskimo. I don't know if it was a particular individual or what, but that's what they call it, the Smiling Eskimo. So there you go. So swing it back over here because I want to take advantage of this space off to the left to turn around up here. I could have just gone across the taxiway maybe and come up and around, but I didn't really see the point in that. But that was the whole short point for runway 33 when you're coming from this side over here. We should be far enough out. We won't bump into him. That's the whole short point over there. So I'm a little surprised with that being our whole short point to see an airplane parked right there and those taxi lines so close. But hey, look, there's a random car in the middle of the grass, so who knows, right? Alright, let's swing her back around here. We do want to take advantage of the full runway as much as we can. Just putting in a little asymmetric thrust there, bringing up the left throttle but leaving the right throttle on 0. That'll help us to swing around a little tighter, which is what we want. Looking good. Bring them up to about 40%. Let them stabilize as we get in the center of the runway here. And toga mode. Hands remain on the throttle in case we need to reject the takeoff. I think we'll be fine though. Everything's in the green. No warnings, no cautions. Speed's coming up. There's 80 knots. Cross check that. Keep her in the center here. Coming up on V1.
Rotate.
There we go. V1 and rotate. Follow the flight director there. I did not look. It's actually got us turning the wrong way here. You see that? I should have checked that. That's alright. We're going to go ahead and we're going to follow what it's got set up. Positive rate of climb. Gears coming up. It's got us turning the opposite way from our from what our departure actually says. We put it on center mode there. I wonder if that's changed. It's possible that it's changed. That does happen sometimes. Well, let's go ahead and get the climb going here. We're going to follow it just in case. It could be that it changed with the recent... remember, I just updated the nav data today. There's the decel height right there. But you know, the reason the turn is to the left on the departure chart is because of the mountains right there, right? So everything in red is actually higher than we are at right now. Yellow is within a certain altitude. I don't remember what. Oh, come on. Flaps coming up. Okay, that was random. Now it wants to go way down and speed up to 230 knots. Let's go ahead and get the autopilot on. I'm not doing a good job of flying this. I was expecting to go the other way, and that threw me off. So autopilot coming on now. We can bring the flaps all the way up. Let's turn the track IR off. Little jump here. There it is. Okay, so obviously I'm doing a very poor job of flying this departure. I was expecting to be flying in the opposite direction, so that definitely threw me off a little bit. My apologies for that. Let's go ahead and get the auto brakes off there. The autopilot is on. We're looking pretty good here. We're clear of the terrain. We got off the ground without any problems. Let's go ahead and take care of our after takeoff checklist, despite my mistakes here. Positive rate of climb is established. Gear is up. V2 plus 20 has been established, substantially so in fact. Pitch was already reduced. We've engaged the autopilot. The gear is up, but it needs to be off now. Click on the little off word there. Auto brakes are off and engine starters can come off. There we go. And you can see we're just starting to cut through some of that fog there. We should be above the clouds here shortly. We can put this back in the map mode there. Move it out a little bit. We don't need to worry about the terrain. That's our after takeoff checklist. Nothing else for us to do right now. We're going to take her all the way up to 25,000. I will see you guys back here shortly. Remember, elevator music is coming after we depart Las Vegas to come back here to Burbank. So no elevator music right now, which means I will see you guys just before top of descent so that we can push our way into Las Vegas. Alright, as we should expect with any busy airport at this point, we've got a busy arrival going on here. The Creso 3 or the Fuzzy 7 arrival into McCarran International today. We're coming in off of DAG or DAG Daggett VOR way out here. And of course this thing, let's not forget, anytime we see this box, it's really not to scale. So all of this is offset, there's larger distances, that sort of thing. But anyway, coming in out here at DAG. No minimum altitudes, no let me rephrase how I'm going to say that, because somebody's going to say, there's a minimum altitude written right there. I got some people tearing me up in those comments lately. What I'm getting at is there's no specified altitude restrictions. You must be at or above, at or below, or at this altitude. So we don't have to worry about that. It does say to expect flight level 240 for jet aircraft. Of course, we're not going to be on with ATC yet. I promise that's going to come at some point. Listen, people, Christmas right around the corner. If you want to buy me an ATC program, and I don't know, a few different versions of maybe FS2 Crew, and that awesome 737 yoke that's $700. Hey, I'm all for it. But since that costs a lot of money, and you guys are probably in the same boat as me, I think we're stuck with what we're stuck with. Anyway, and please stop saying do it on VATSIM or IVAO. It's not going to happen, folks. I'm not going to do it. And if you fly with them, great. I've flown with them. I have nothing against them. Okay, but I'm not going to take the risk of getting a copyright put on my account because somebody at either one of them suddenly has a whim. Oh, this Captain Mac fellow, we don't really like him today. Let's go ahead and put a copyright violation on his account. And then they shut down my account, limit me to 10-minute videos, and all that nonsense that comes with it because somebody got a wild hair up their you-know-what. So not doing that. Not going to fly on VATSIM, not going to fly on IVAO, and I'm not going to fly on, what's the other one? I'll think of it later. Let's move on. Anyway, so coming from DAG to, I guess that's Joker, and then Danby, and then Sarah's, banging a left at Danby, and then to Sarah's, and then down here to Wig. Boy, people just have some great imagination with these, don't they? And again, expecting 12,000, but not an altitude restriction there. From there down to Creso, that's what we're named for here, and then to Boulder City, or BLD VOR, and then it's vectors from there, and it's really just going to depend on what runway we're using. And looking at the weather, well, you're going to get it on the approach briefing anyway, so not worried about it. But we're on vectors from there, and so that could go one of two ways. We could either have to swing it back around or come straight in. What else we got on here? ATIS is 132.4 approach control for Creso. Oh, a little hiccup there. Ugh. Approach control for Creso 3 is 118.4. So notice here, it actually names which arrival it's giving the frequency for, which makes it a lot easier than, hey, just north or south or whatever. Especially if you're like right on the line. Well, I'm like 1 degree off. Oh, by the way, if you're 1 degree off, then that's where you belong. Does that make any sense? A little note here for Creso 3. That wasn't the note. That was just me clearing my throat. Creso 3, runway 1 left, right, 7 left, right, and 19 left, right. Expect vectors the final approach course. And runway 25 left, expect ILS approach procedure. And looking at the wind right now, to be honest with you, we're probably going to be on like 19 left or right. So something to keep in mind. And I think that's it. Yep, there's your arrival briefing. And so there we have our 20 nautical miles from top of descent. So what do we got? One more flight after this one. We're going pretty quick today. It's really fast. Well, semi-fast for you guys. Fast for me as far as the turnarounds and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe we'll keep this video under 6 hours. I wouldn't count on it though. Anyway, getting ready for our descent here. We want to reset our MCP altitude. And for us, it's going to be 5,800. You're going to see why when you get the approach briefing coming up here in a little bit. So we got that set now. We're good to go on that. If we had weather concerns, we could tilt the weather down for the descent. The weather's kind of being funky for me on this. I need to look into it a little more because I can't seem to get it to work. Now, I know it only returns a visual when there's moisture in the air, but I don't think I've ever gotten it to return a visual, even when I'm flying in a rainstorms. But maybe I'm wrong about that. But anyway, let's see. 2181 is the altitude of McCarran. So if our minimums were 200 feet, that would be 2381, right? Wow, that's it, on the barrel. 2381. So let's scroll that up here real quick. Just really filling some time, I guess. I mean, I don't think you guys really need to sit here and watch me do this or anything, but whatever. We're going to scroll it up there. It'd be a lot faster to scroll it if I was doing it in real life, right? 2381 is what we're looking for. 2381. So that should give us a minimum. That should give us minimums of 200 feet AGL since we're using barometric pressure. It's clear, clear skies at McCarran. Clouds at about 14,000 feet. You can see a few of them out there. Not a whole lot going on. Now the wind keeps shifting around. It was 039. Now it's all zeros. Whatever. It's going to work for our approach either way. So we're going to go on that. And as far as our descent checklist, we monitor the speed, take care of altimeter at transition altitude, and lights and all that stuff on at 10,000 feet. That's pretty much it until we get to our approach brief, not our approach brief, but our approach checklist. So we're starting into the descent now. I'm going to let her go. I will be back on here like in 2 shakes of a turkey leg, and we'll go ahead and we'll put that approach brief in here so you guys are ready for that as well. So we're going to be looking at the RNAV, or GPS 19 left approach. Just as a note, I think I've mentioned this in the past, but RNAV stands for Area Navigation, which in layman's terms, and I'll use layman's terms because we're those of us that don't fly commercial aircraft or really that don't fly instrument, we're laymen, right? Anyway, in layman's terms, RNAV and GPS are the same thing. So eventually one's supposed to replace the other, and if I remember correctly, GPS is supposed to ultimately replace RNAV. Of course, they said that like 10 years ago, and they haven't done anything about it yet. They still go back and forth between both terms, but they mean the same thing. So if I say GPS 19 left, or if I say RNAV 19 left, and I don't say both, it's because they're the same stinking thing. It's very redundant at that point. So anyway, it's going to be the RNAV 19 left approach today, and you should recall that we finished our arrival out here at the Boulder City VOR. So from there, it only makes sense that we hit our initial approach fix at Lapen and bang a left to 291 degrees, scream it on down in here to Hamig, and then bang another left all the way around to 200 degrees. I'm looking at the back here now. To 200 degrees. Down to Jogmu, Aranvi, and Jabna. Sounds like a Star Wars flick. No offense to those of you who like Star Wars, because I like Star Wars too. But anyway, cruising on down here to the profile view. So what we say, Lapen and then Hamig. Almost forgot what we're doing here. So this is, if you're coming in, just so you know, the 6300 would be at LAS right here. That's the VOR. So that's this little back course thing they got here where you swing it around or whatever. That's not what we're doing though. So when we hit Hamig, we want to be at 5,800 feet, then to Jogmu, and then our descent point is just beyond Jogmu, which is at 10.3 from which are we using here? We're using the oh come on, brain function, for crying out loud. I think we're using the Las Vegas VOR, right? So when it says 10.3, it means 10.3 from the Las Vegas VOR, I believe. Oh, nightmarish. Yeah, it should be 10.3 from the Las Vegas VOR. That's where we started our descent. Then to Ranby, we should be at 4,500 at Ranby, 6.6 nautical miles, and then so on and so forth on our way in. Now listen, there's a lot going on in Vegas, guys. This is up high. It's a busy airport. A lot of runways actually. What has it got? 4 runways, so technically 8 runways. But anyway, looking at our runway, 2,664 meters of runway, 46 meters wide, 268 meters of offset threshold, standard 3-degree glide slope. We didn't do anything about the missed approach yet, so let's talk about that. It says left turn direct Lapen, climb 6,000. Okay. What does that mean? Well, Lapen, remember, was our initial approach fix. So basically, if you have a missed approach, you're going to immediately turn left and fly direct to Lapen in 6,000 feet. Simple as that. So, ATIS on 132.4, tower 118.75, ground on 121.1. I bumbled my way through this a little bit of frustration. My apologies. It's very early in the morning here, and I'm still trying to wake up. Let's go fly the approach. Try not to kill anybody, huh? Alright, you can see we're making our turn out here at Lapen, heading on into Hamig. And remember now, this is a GPS approach. Let's get those landing lights on.
Descending
landing below.
So it's not going to fly a glide slope for us or a localizer or anything like that. It's GPS approach. So at hammock we want to be at 5800. Oh, excuse me. And then let's see here at 10.3 from the come on, brain, function. My brain's not working now. 10.3 from the VOR. Wow, that sucker's going down quick, isn't it? We want to be at, or we start our descent there. There we go. Now the brain's starting to kick in now. I have tuned in the VOR there, and we could, if we wanted, we could probably switch this to VOR mode. I don't want to do that though. I'm going to leave it right there. But I know there's a way. Brain's not functioning. It's this one here. VOR1. That's what I want right there. There's the. So I right click this up to VOR1, and now you can see down here it tells me VOR1 LAS 16.2 nautical miles. So I know that I start my descent at 10.3 nautical miles from that VOR, and then at 6.6 nautical miles I should be at Ranvi, right? So now let's take a look here. That should be set up on our lake. So 5800 at or above, 5300 at Jogmu, which is yeah, that's about right. 5300, and then 4500 at Ranvi. That's spot on, and then on in from there. So it'll fly it for us as long as we scroll this down, of course. So we'll take this down to 4500, and then by then we should be on a visual approach. So as we're coming up on the turn here, we're going to slow things down, slow them way down. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make the turn at 180 knots. So let's let her slow down here. And let's go through this approach checklist really quick. The approach is selected and brief. Nav radios are set for approach. We're slowing to 180. We're beyond flaps 5, so we're good there. And in fact, we're good on our flaps, period. Auto spoilers are armed. Speed brake, we're not going to be using it, so we don't need to set that. Engine start switches need to go to continuous mode. There we go. And then everything else is gear down, full flaps, all of that good stuff, which we'll be starting here shortly, as a matter of fact. But we're getting it slowed down to 180, getting prepped for our turn. This is the Air Force Base. What's the name of it out here? Nellis. Nellis Air Force Base is what we're looking at here. And that is McCarran right. No, not there. That's Henderson. That's McCarran right there. So there you go. Just in case you're wondering why we're staring at that thing. Okay, so we're down to 180 knots, and we are going to be landing, just so that you know, flaps 30 at 127 knots. We got plenty of runway to work with. 2,664 meters, plenty of runway to work with. So 127 knots. So it'll be 135 will be our final approach speed. So let's go and bring this down to 160. Looking good so far. Just about to jog moo. I'm going to go ahead and bring the flaps in, to the next setting. Flaps 10, gear coming down. Looking good there. So it just, in case you didn't notice during the briefing, this is a bit of an offset approach too. But I was right the first time. That is McCarran. Man, I can't think. That's McCarran over there, and then Henderson would be it's south of that, so Henderson would be beyond it. Anyway, so there we go, looking good there. So we're going down to 4,500 at Ranvi, and then from there we're pretty much on our own. So let's go ahead and get that speed all the way down to 135. Let's get those flaps set, because we're going to be on Ranvi here really quick, and we need to take control of the aircraft. So it's just a lot easier if I have everything all the way set already. So there's the full flaps coming in. Bringing on the track, our little jump here. There we go. And I'm going to leave the auto throttle on for now, but I'm going to take the autopilot off. There we go. We have physical control of the aircraft now. 4,500 at Ranvi. And we're 2 miles out from Ranvi. So we're looking pretty good right now. Speed's down to 135. Flaps are full. Landing gear is down 3 green. We're looking good on all of that. There's 4,800. 1.5 miles out from Ranvi. We're just about spot on here right now. It is a standard 3-degree glide slope. We should have PAPI lights on the left-hand side, so But we'll see. It looks like we're just a little high right now to me, to be honest with you. And I think we are. So we'll just bring her down a little bit. Looking good. I mean, that's all we're going to do. We're going to fly it in. I don't think I need the terrain mode on anymore. We're well inside the valley now. Definitely looks like we're a little high. Standard Captain Mac approach. Always high on approach. That's me. So you can see nothing but white pappy lights down there. So we're going to let her descend just a wee bit faster. Not too much.
2,500.
There we go. Now we're looking good. Yep. See, we're coming on glide slope now. And I'm guessing we need to be about 750 feet per minute on our descent rate. Let's go ahead and take care of the throttles here. There we go. Auto throttle is now off. We have complete control of the aircraft. So we're keeping an eye on our speed, our rate of descent. Everything's looking good. Looking really good. So we're just going to fly this heading here. Oh, sorry for the sniffles. Looks like we're just a little right of the course they actually want us to fly. So we'll bring it back over. That's probably because they don't want you to fly over that golf course or anything over there. So looking good. Not much to do. There's some houses floating way up in the air for no apparent reason. I'll never understand why that happens. You see them up there? I don't have add-on scenery or nothing like that, but there's a bunch of houses floating in the air. That's awesome. Fantastic. Okay, looking good here. Looking good. So we'll hold her on this just a little bit longer until we're crossing that runway center line, and then we'll turn and scoot her on in there, and let's hope for a nice smooth landing. I think we're just a little high here right now. Not bad though. You could see, you could, maybe I can see the displaced threshold. I can make it out from here. Lots of runway to work with there. Lots of runway to work with. So I'm not worried about that at all. You can see our terminal area is off to the left, so we're going to make a left exit. I was actually out here in McCarran not that long ago. Okay. Yeah, we're just a little high, so I'm descending just a little quick. But we'll be on glide slope here any second now. Sorry for the sniffles. Oh yeah, turn her right on down the center line there. Looking fantastic. Still just a little high though.
500.
Let's listen to the call-outs.
400. 300. Minimums.
Perfect minimums.
100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Little float. Not bad though. Knots. And let's see if we can take this exit right here. I don't think that'll be an issue. Alright, let's get this track IR off for a second. Little jump here. There it is. We'll let her coast to a halt, and let's start taking care of this after landing checklist. Speed brakes coming down, flaps coming up. We can turn on the APU. We can turn landing lights off, runway turn off lights off, taxi lights on. Strobe lights can go to the steady position. Let the flight attendants know we've landed. Probe heat off. Window heat, I think, stays on until we actually stop. Low oil pressure. Oh, that's for the that's for the APU. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. We're not ready for emergency procedures. Okay, after landing checklist then. Speed brake lever is up, flaps are up, probe heat is off, engine start switch is off. I knew I'd forget something. 1 and 2 both off. Landing lights are off, taxi lights is required, strobe lights off, flight director's off, and transponder to standby. Flight director 1 and 2 both off. Transponder all the way over to standby. And now I'm going to go ahead and taxi her on in. There's no need for you guys to have to sit here and watch that. Shouldn't take too long, but I'll bring her in. We'll get her stopped at the gate, and we'll start prepping for our turn here. See you shortly. Alright, we got her in a parking space here. Let's go ahead and take care of getting her ready for shutdown. APU's up and running, so we can send that over here. Taxi lights should have come off already. My bad. I don't think we need the logo lights on still. I mean, it is light out after all. Okay, with the APU running and sending power, we can bring these bad boys offline. Let's go ahead in here. Go to FS Actions. Start with the ground connections. Put wheel chocks in. Connect the ground power. And then we'll go back here. I know the VNAV's disconnected. That makes sense, doesn't it? Doors. Open the left front door. We got the jetway coming over, hopefully. There she is. Jetway's coming over. Fantastic. Open that left aft door as well, and then the cargo doors. Fantastic. Shrink that bad boy down there. Let's start offload. Well, let's get the passenger signs off. Off. Ground power on. APU off. There we go. Looking good. And then let's start offloading passengers. Request deboarding. Southwest. There they go, getting ready to deboard. Let's go ahead and make sure we're shut down and secure. So coming up top here, window heat can go off now. Those are good there. Electric hydraulic pumps can come off. Packs can come, wrong way. Packs off. ISO valve, we'll leave that in the auto position. We can turn off both of these guys here. Fuel pumps can all come off. Fantastic. And everything else should be good as is. Really quickly. Let's let's take care of the checklist. So brakes are on, start levers are cut off, ground power is on, doors and stairs are open, fuel pumps are off, signs are off, window heat is off, probe heat is off, electric hydraulics are off, all bleeds are off, isolation valve, we left that in the auto position, recirc fan is in the auto position, external lighting as needed, emergency exit lights, battery, and ground power will all stay on because we still have one more flight to do. So let's go ahead and get our ACARS shut down here. Bring that on over. Look at that. 1 hour, 3 seconds for a 1 hour flight. Let's go ahead and end that bad boy. We are on track today. File the PIREP there. Fantastic. I'll close that out and restart it here in a minute. And that brings us to a close for flight number 2 of the day. Remember, 3 flights today. So here shortly we're going to begin the process of our quick turn, but we're going to let passengers finish offloading. I'm going to break away for a minute, stop the recording, get the new flight plan up, make sure the weather's all working, all of that good stuff, get ACARS running, get the FS recorder running, all that fun, good times, and then we'll start our quick turn for the next flight. So I'll see you here shortly. Now, I don't know who did the paint scheme for this particular aircraft, but boy, they did a nice job on it, didn't they? And it's appropriate that it's the Nevada one since we just flew into Las Vegas. I just think it looks fantastic. So I wanted to start out at this view as we get ready to do our quick turn here. Give you an opportunity to look at this awesome repaint. Of course, it gives us an opportunity to see our little flight briefing down there as well. We got to get those in there, trying to keep things together, keep things orderly and organized. But man, that's a beautiful plane, isn't it? I love these 737s. I get the opportunity to kind of get around them a little bit when I'm at work because I work at Sky Harbor, and just a neat plane, man. I really like it. But anyway, enough yappity yap. Let's hop on inside here. You can see everything's still on. We're on the ground power as we should be. Let's see. Deboarding is completed, so we're good to go on that. Let's turn that back off. Let's see here. Pop this guy up. We need to take care of fuel. So, again, we're going to add a little bit. We actually had more than we needed on this one. So I think I'm only going to add 2,000 this time for the trip back because we're going right back where we came from in Burbank. So if we take a look at our flight plan here, Excuse me, still got the sniffles. It's asking for 79.43, which we actually almost have that much fuel already, but we're going to add 2,000 to it and see where that puts us. So 79.43, so 99.43 is what we're going to look for on our fuel here. So let's put 99.43, put that in there. And we've now got our fuel loaded. Ground connections are all in good order, so we can shrink that down. Let's go ahead and start boarding packs now, because it's not going to take that long. It's really not. So there you go. They're already boarding, coming right down the jetway.
Hello.
And we can start our quick turn. I'm just going to pop this up this time. So let's jump back here to our initial reference. Actually, we need the route page. Company route. I'm just going to type it in here, so it's KLAS. I think this is a little faster, to be honest with you, except when I can't find the letters. Just because I don't have to search through the list. Put it in there. I already know it's in there. So flight number is 1987. Good year, that, 1987. Put that in there. Activate and execute. And we can roll right to performance initialization. We're still going to go with 5.0 on the reserves, and we'll see how we do this time. Zero fuel weight is 107.1. And our cost index will stay at 85 because that's clearly working quite well today. Initial cruise altitude is going to be flight level 320, and I don't think there's a step climb in here at all. No step climb. So 320 for us on that. There we go, and then hop on over here to our N1 limit now. Oh man, these sniffles are killing me here. Let's see here. I'm looking at, we're going to be taking runway 19 left, 2978. I had to remember the length. 2978 is the runway length. That's quite a bit. What was the runway length? Anybody remember what the runway length was in Phoenix? Because we did a D-rated there, right? 3139. Now, we did the D-rate 1 there, and we had plenty of runway to go, didn't we? So, I'll bet we can get away with D-rate 1 here. Now, I'm sure there's a chart on it that would explain to me how to do it or how to figure out what it is and whatnot. And I'm sure some of you know that and are probably screaming right now going, what are you doing? But we're going to try the D-rate 1, and we're going to hope we don't have to do a rejected takeoff. We've never had a rejected takeoff here on Life of a Virtual Airline Pilot, so who knows? Maybe that'll happen today. So D-rate 1, climb rate 1, go to the takeoff page. We haven't selected anything yet, so we don't have any V speeds. Flaps 10 again, center of gravity, looks like it's going to be 25.5 and 4.88 on the trim. So let's cruise over here and see what we got. Oh yeah, she's got to come down. And this is why we check. Could you imagine taking off with the trim that high? Boy, that sucker would skyrocket up. That's going to be close there. No, that's still a little over, actually. Oh, look at that, 4.88. Bam! I messed it up, though, didn't I? Yeah. Really? How'd it go down when I brought it up? There we go, 4.88. Fantastic. Okay, so we're good on that. We'll get that lever out of the way for a second. Let's go to our departure here. And we are flying the Boach 6 departure. You'll, of course, get that during your departure briefing. It's an HEC transition, and it's off of runway 19 left. All of that's good. Let's check our legs page, make sure there's no discontinuities. Looking good through there, and then let's go ahead and just throw our arrival in there. And it is the same arrival we took last time, and let me just double check what that is so I don't mess it up. The arrival was, nope, that's the approach. It'll be same approach too, which would be nice. It was the Lynx 8 arrival. So Lynx 8 and the ILS, where are we going to transition it? That's a good question, actually. You know, let's transition at HEC. So off of the departure onto the arrival. I think that's the easiest way to go. And then it's the ILS Z08. We're going to take the same one. Mikey transition. More sniffles there. Execute that using reserve fuel, it says. So if we go to our progress page, this is telling us we're going to be at 4.2 on our fuel. So that would tell me we probably didn't put quite enough in for the trip back. We actually could have put that 3,000 in. So I know passengers are already on, but let's go ahead and add the extra 1,000 pounds of fuel. So 10,943. And that should put us right on the money for this one. So that's going to put us at 5.2. We've got our reserve set at 5, so we're good to go there. I don't want FMC. I want to be back over here. And I hear kids fighting in the background. Big surprise. Check our legs page again really quick. So, see, so here's what you here's the issue you end up with. And this is why we got to check this. Roper rod boach, boarding's complete by the way. HEC, which is what we want, and then Heldy, and then PMD. Now, when I look at the arrival into Burbank, of course, you may remember PMD is way up there, and it doesn't make sense for us to go from there back to HEC. So what we're going to do is we're going to take HEC, and we're going to put it all the way up here with HEC, execute that, and now what we end up with, Boach, HEC, and then from HEC to Basel, and Koppel, PMD, Janny, and then, yeah, we're spot on right there. That's what I want. And then from there to Eiffel, Lynx, and then remember, we don't want to take VNY. We're going to go from Lynx straight to Mikey. So there we go, execute that, and that's going to put us spot on. That's what we want right there. So go back to our takeoff page. Now we've got our V-speeds in there, rotating at 115. Initial climb speed of 122. That's what we want to put in our MC. Oh, now I got hiccups. MCP. So let's hop up here. Go to our MCP. We want 122 on this guy. Here we go. And we can take this straight up to, what do we say? 320, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's, yeah, 320. Sorry for the sniffles, guys. Stuffy and sniffly. Flight director's coming on at this point. Those are good to go. Arm, the LNAV, and the VNAV. Those are working like a champ. Let's see what else. TCAS, we could probably put it on if we wanted, or we could leave it off. I don't really care. Let's just flip it on. There we go. You can't tell this cold's getting to me at all, can you? RTO on the brakes there. Boarding's complete. Let's go ahead and close the doors. I believe boarding's complete. Let's just verify. Deboarding complete. Waiting for you to close the left aft entry door. I don't know why they want to wait for me. That's, I mean, if it's done, it's done, right? Whatever. Close the door. Close the door. Cargo doors closed. There we go. Return. All the doors are closed now. Back to the ground connections page. Get that out of the way. Let's get the jetway moving out of the way. Make sure she's moving. Fantastic. And we need runway heading, don't we? That's what we need. Runway heading is 190 degrees. That's easy enough. There we go. And in case you're wondering why it was 200, remember it was an offset approach for that GPS approach. So, okay, that takes us to, let me change pages on my checklist here. Let's do our pre-start checklist. Oh, while we're doing pre-start checklist, let's get the APU running. Man on, turn nose on. All right. Overhead setup, flight control panel has been checked. Yaw damper is on. Fuel system, fuel pumps are good. Electrical panel's good. Window heat's on. On. Probe heat is off. Little cough for you there. Anti-ice is off. Hydraulics panel checked. These need to come on here. All of those are already on. Packs need to be off. We're going to leave packs off for now. They can sweat for a little bit. They'll be fine. A and B switches are on. Air conditioning's good. The left and right pack says put them on auto. Let's go and put them on auto. This guy's supposed to be in the open position. We'll leave him on auto. Pressurization panel check. Flight altitude. Flight level 320. And what did we say Burbank was again? It is 778. So 750 will work. Send the power out from the APU. Turn the ground power off while we're up here. Make sure the seatbelt signs are on. Exterior lighting's good. Ignition left to right. We keep it in the center. We're doing pretty good here. We're making good time. So we can disconnect ground power now. Let's make sure the parking brake is set. It is. Couldn't tell if the light was on or not. Remove the wheel chocks. This can go to the FMC page now. Jump back up here. Put this on the legs page. And FMC set up. MCP is set up. Course is set. Flight directors are on. Auto throttle is off. Heading is set to the runway heading. Altitude is set for initial clearance. Autopilots are off. PFD has no flags. Auto brake is RTO. Engine instruments have been checked. Center pedestal speed brake is down. It is now. Thrust levers are idle. Engine start levers are in the cutoff position, and stabilizer trim is set, which takes us directly to our push and start checklist. Passenger boarding is complete. Passenger doors are closed and locked. We're clear for push. Throttles are idle. Start levers are off. Packs are off. That is these two. Let's just hop up so we can see it. Off and off. Just so you know, you have to actually pull down on those toggles before you can move them in the real world, for those of you who are not aware of that. Okay, packs are off. APU is running. Bleed air pressure is good. Fuel pumps are on. Anti-collision light is on. Parking brake will be released on pushback. So let's pull up the boarding completed. Prepare for pushback and departure. And what did we need here? We need right here, nose left, tail right. BAMSIS, no. They coming in? Fantastic. I'm going to let him get set up, and I'll be right back here with you guys when we're ready to push. Alrighty, we're ready to rock and roll. He's telling me to release the parking brakes, so we'll go ahead and pop those off here. Wait till he says it again.
Parking brakes.
There we go.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start that wheel.
ACARS is up and running. Shows us holding for some reason. I don't know why it shows holding when you're pushing back. But anyway, we're ready to start. So starting with engine number 2. Roll it over to ground. I don't know why I'm getting all the flashing on the buildings there. Waiting on the N2 to come up. N2's not moving. I know why. I did not turn on the APU bleed. Oops. We all make mistakes. There we go. Now the N2's moving. My bad. Alright. Waiting on 25 on the N2. At 25 or higher, we can introduce fuel to the engines without hot starting them. There's 23 and 4 and 25. Fuel coming on. We didn't do the fire test, did we? Let's do it while that engine's starting up. I don't know if you can technically, but nope, we don't want that one. We want that guy. Fantastic. Fire test complete. I keep forgetting that one. Oh, there's an Alaska 737. Nice. She hasn't clicked off quite yet. There she goes. So the engine's running now. Boy, there's a lot of flashing on the scenery objects, aren't there? Okay, she's stabilizing quick, so let's go ahead and start engine number 1. Roll it to ground. Same thing, waiting on 25.
Set parking brakes.
And we're at 25, so we can fire number 1. Let them do their thing while the engine's spooling up. Once it's stabilized, we'll go ahead and take care of the after start checklist. We're going to have a busy taxi going on here today, that's for sure. Let's see here. Oh yeah, we got quite a long brief on this one, both for the taxi because I was bumping my gums, and I think I went on a little, I think I went on one of my little side tirades when I did the taxi and departure briefing on this one. So you'll have to bear with me on that. Let's go ahead and take care of this after start checklist. It starts with the generators, of course, up here. We want to make sure the generators are on. We do that by clicking here and here. That sends the power back to the APU. That's the way to remember it. Deal with it. Probe heat can come on. Packs can go on. APU bleed can go off. Taxi light can go. There's a hiccup for you. Taxi light can come on. So, after start checklist, engine generators are on, probe heat is on, and anti-ice is as required. We don't need it right now. Engine bleeds are on, packs are on auto, isolation valve is auto, APU bleed is off. APU, did we turn it off? Yes, we did. APU is off. External lights as required. Master caution is off. That's this guy right here. Hit the recall button. We're good to go on that. And that takes us right into taxi. We've got our taxi clearance. Ground crew is out of the way. Taxi speed will be as fast as we want to go, and flaps need to be set to 10 before we go anywhere. There's the flaps coming to 10 right there. Alright. Alright, while the flaps are coming in, a little jump as track IR comes on. There it is. It's a lot quicker, the jump, when you first turn it on than when you turn it off, isn't it? So, let me just get my bearings here. Should be right up there, and then hang it right. Correct? Yes, I believe that's correct. Yeah, I know where I'm at now. Fantastic. And flaps are set. Parking brake is off. As we start rolling forward here, we've got ourselves, like I said, a lengthy briefing. What is it over there? Ooh, yeah, it's definitely lengthy. So let's go. What a busy ground chart. Now, I didn't pull up the parking chart, this little dotted line, these dashed lines, whatever you want to call them. That tells you that you've got an extra chart for just the parking area to help you navigate around. And as you can see, there's lots of notes and lots of stuff going on here. To be honest with you, for whatever reason, and maybe I should have looked it up before the video, but I didn't. This little chart right here, the TORA, ASDA, and TODA, for whatever reason, I'm not sure what that means. It could just be that it's early, and so I'm losing my mind here, and I probably actually know what those mean, but I can't think of them right now. So, for those of you who do know what those mean, please by all means share it down in the comments, but for the love of everybody's sanity and the sake of us having a good time, do it nicely. Don't be mean about it. I'm very sensitive. I'm a sensitive individual. That's supposed to be like, who was that dog? Droopy Dog or something like that. You remember him? It's okay. I probably don't sound anything like that. Anyway, moving on. We're over here, obviously, at the terminal. We're going to be taking 19 left. We haven't been here that long, so we're going to push back with our nose to the left, tail to the right. And then our intent is basically to hop out here onto Gulf, not going this way, but going this way, up to Delta, and then take that up here and hold short all the way at the end. Now, that being said, we need to take a look at a couple things here. There's a north and south hold pad. What are those? Those are areas where aircraft should be able to, or not should, those are areas where aircraft will hold when waiting for gates typically. And notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them here. 9 hold pads. Don't fly into Vegas, people. Oh, 10. 10. There's another. I think I missed one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, no, 9, 10. Yeah, 10 hold pads. Wow. How obnoxious would that be? But anyway, there are a couple of things we need to look at on our route. The hold pads aren't an issue. We're not going to be holding there. And they probably use them for departures as much as they do for arrivals. But anyway, HS1. Let's look over here. HS1. Exiting the ramp, use caution at taxiway Sierra not to cross the runway. Holding position markings for runway 19 left. So in other words, if you're going to cross over, if we're going to take 19 right and they're going to have us cross the runway and either use the center taxiway or whatever, what it's saying here is as you're exiting the ramp here, okay, from basically where this hold area is, take caution or use caution not to cross the runway holding position markings. So there's markings here. You don't cross over the markings to hold short of the runway. You need to stop short of the markings. We're not taking Sierra, so we're not worried about that. So we're cruising up here. Then we got HS5 in this little box here. What does HS5 say? Taxiway D and N intersection is not visible from the tower. Okay, so what that means is, here's the tower right here. So the tower is looking out over the terminal here. So at this point right here, where it's boxed off, the tower cannot see you. All right, and that's where ground control takes place, is from the tower. If they can't see you here, that means that there's other aircraft in the area. It's your responsibility to maintain separation and all that good stuff. Okay, what else? Anything else? Runway entrance lights are the double dots, and takeoff hold lights are what, like 5 dots. These guys right here. So when we come up here, we can, as we come onto the runway, we can hold short right there if we need to. Okay, a lot going on for the taxi, right? Be alert for runway crossing clearances, all of that good stuff. Now, ATIS is on 132.4. Tower for us, 19 left, is going to be on 118.75. Ground for east of runway 1 right, 19 left, that's us, is 121.1. When we're on the ramp, we're at 124.4. And there's clearance delivery down there. A lot going on there. Now let's take a look at our exciting departure. So if there wasn't enough going on for our taxi, we've got a busy departure as well. I gotta tell you, folks, for those of you who are real-world pilots, commercial pilots, flying in and out of Las Vegas and airports like JFK and stuff, good on you. Good on you, boy, because you gotta be on your game, huh? Anyway, 19 left is going to be coming down this way. These are all the Boach 6 departure. Oftentimes when you see the departure or the arrival named, or several different of these green arrows on here, it's for different departures, but in this case they're all the same same departure. It's just for whatever reason they decided to put the name on all of them. So since we're taking 19 left, which starts up here and takes off this way, this is going to be our first waypoint here. And I don't see a name for it. I imagine, well, hold on, there's an inset. See the dotted dashed lines? I missed it. There's an inset. So we're out to PMD, PMD, I guess. Is this one right here? Or is that this one here? See, these are kind of, it's kind of hard to tell, isn't it? I would think that this is Bessie here. So this is Rebel. So down to Rebel on runway heading, or almost runway heading, and then bang a left to 186 degrees. Yeah, that looks about right. No, I'm losing my mind. See, I'm going plumb start crazy. North is this way, and we're taking off on 19 this way. See, got to pay attention because this thing's turned sideways. Here's your north seeking arrow down here. Runway 19 is this one, so we're actually going out here to fix. Wow, good thing I caught that, isn't it? So runway heading out to fix, and then bang a right to 227 degrees out to Roper, and then from there out to Boach. Well, why does that say Rod? Oh, because Rod's right here. Okay, so from Roper, which is this one, to Rod, and then to Boach, at or above 13,000 at Boach, and then for us, we're down to ATC. So we need to bang a right to 213 degrees and fly this all the way down here to ATC to get on course. Wow. I actually totally messed that up at first. Glad I caught it. So once again, just to make sure we have our departure briefing soundly in our minds, we're taking off to the south, which is this direction. So we're going to head down here off of runway 19 left, out to fix, a right to Roper, out to Rod, and then from Rod to Boach, and then another right-hand turn all the way out to ATC, and then on course from there. Departure frequency on 125.9, and looking down here, so for runways 7 left, right, 19 left, right, 25 left, right, it says BLD, DAG, EED, and HEC DMEs must be operational for HEC transition. And since we're using an HEC transition, that's what it means. We're supposed to have our DME operational, which it will be. Of course, the DME is working in the aircraft, so we're good to go on that. There's your departure briefing. Finally got it right. Here we go. Alright, let's go ahead and take care of this before takeoff checklist, and then we get that extensive taxi and departure briefing taken care of. We need to have the auto throttles armed. We're going to need to check the flight controls. Click on the system button here. I'll pop this up for you. Full left, full right, and neutral all the way up, all the way down, neutral again, and then full left, full right on the rudders, and neutral. So we're good to go there. Brake temp is just fine. We'll put that back on engines. Then let's see, we need landing lights on, runway turnoff lights on, taxi lights off, strobes can go to the other position there. Let's hop up top, make sure we didn't miss anything up here. Everything's good there. Ignitions to continuous. And what else? Let's hop over to the checklist and see what it tells us. Master caution light is off. Recall checked. Good there and good there. Flight controls are checked. Flaps are set. We got 10 there and 10 down there, so we're going to go on those. Trim is set. Flight directors are on. Takeoff briefing is completed. Takeoff clearance is obtained. Strobe lights are on. Wing lights are on. Landing lights are on. Runway turnoff lights are on. Engine start switches are on continuous. Auto throttle is armed. And the transponder is on TARA. Let's turn the VOR off for the moment. And we're good to go. That's it. Let's roll her out on the runway and get started. A little jump here as the track IR comes on. There it is. Make sure nobody's coming. Doesn't look like it. Mouse is out of the way. And away we go. Oh my goodness, I'm worn out from these allergies, man. They're kicking my butt, I'll tell you what. Lots of runway to work with here. Nobody coming that way, so we'll just roll her right onto the runway and just keep on going. Get her out here in the middle. Oh, I hate when that thing pops up right there. Bring them up to 40% and stabilize. And hit the toga button. Hands on the throttles until we hit V1. A little sniffle for you as we get started. Why not? There's the airspeed coming alive. There's 80 knots.
V1. Rotate.
And rotate.
V2.
Good V2 nice and quick. Positive rate of climb. Gear coming up. Hello YouTube, Captain Mac here, and welcome to another stuffy but exciting episode in the life of a virtual airline pilot. And I say stuffy because I'm all stuffed up again. It seems to happen this time of year. As I get stuffier from allergies, maybe it's time to do another in-depth tutorial like my Dash 8 cold and dark start tutorial where I was so stuffed up I couldn't even recognize my own voice. But either way, we've got an exciting day actually ahead of us today. We're flying out of one of my favorite airports, Phoenix, of course, and we're making 2 trips into one of my favorite airports, which is Burbank. Interesting note, as much as I like flying into Burbank in the real world, I've never done it on the simulator, so it's going to make it for a lot of fun today. We've got 3 flights for today's duty day, so we definitely want to get that knocked out as quickly but as safely as possible. So it's going to be a pretty busy day. A lot of briefings, a lot of departures and arrivals and all of that good stuff. But as you can see, Phoenix to Burbank, we're going to start out with that one, and then Burbank up to Las Vegas, which is crazy busy up there, and then Vegas back down to Burbank. And that's going to wrap it up for our duty day. And we're going to be staying at the Marriott tonight, which is going to be a good time. Of course, I'm going to be sleeping in my real bed, but hopefully we get all 3 of these flights knocked out today without any issues, and then if all goes well, I might actually be able to record the next duty day worth of flights too, because as many of you know, the website for PVA was down for about a week. Something happened. They were doing some transition work or something with schedules. I forget what exactly. But anyway, what ended up happening is the website went kaput and we weren't able to do any flights. So as a result, they've extended the necessary completion date to actually finish this challenge. Now, I don't know if we're going to be able to finish it because I'm Hello YouTube, Captain Mac here, and welcome to another stuffy but exciting episode in the life of a virtual airline pilot. And I say stuffy because I'm all stuffed up again. It seems to happen this time of year. As I get stuffier from allergies, maybe it's time to do another in-depth tutorial like my Dash 8 cold and dark start tutorial where I was so stuffed up I couldn't even recognize my own voice. But either way, we've got an exciting day actually ahead of us today. We're flying out of one of my favorite airports, Phoenix, of course, and we're making 2 trips into one of my favorite airports, which is Burbank. Interesting note, as much as I like flying into Burbank in the real world, I've never done it on the simulator, so it's going to make it for a lot of fun today. We've got 3 flights for today's duty day, so we definitely want to get that knocked out as quickly but as safely as possible. So it's going to be a pretty busy day. A lot of briefings, a lot of departures and arrivals and all of that good stuff. But as you can see, Phoenix to Burbank, we're going to start out with that one, and then Burbank up to Las Vegas, which is crazy busy up there, and then Vegas back down to Burbank. And that's going to wrap it up for our duty day. And we're going to be staying at the Marriott tonight, which is going to be a good time. Of course, I'm going to be sleeping in my real bed, but hopefully we get all 3 of these flights knocked out today without any issues, and then if all goes well, I might actually be able to record the next duty day worth of flights too, because as many of you know, the website for PVA was down for about a week. Something happened. They were doing some transition work or something with schedules. I forget what exactly. But anyway, what ended up happening is the website went kaput, and we weren't able to do any flights. So as a result, they've extended the necessary completion date to actually finish this challenge. Now, I don't know if we're going to be able to finish it because I'm struggling to get, we're on like week 3 of the challenge, and I'm still trying to complete flights on week 1. So I'm going to get as many done today as I can, but part of what's making this take a little bit longer, and I just want to throw this out there, I made you guys a promise when I started flying as Captain Mac that I would not fly any flights with PVA as Captain Mac without recording them. And so I have to record all of these flights, and of course that adds to the amount of time that it takes. If I was just flying them, I'm sure I'd be caught up because you can just crank out some flights. But doing the recording obviously takes a little longer. So we don't want to spend a whole lot of time yapping here. That's our flight schedule for the day. So let's go ahead and hop on over to the sim. I was about to say the website. Remember, we're not going back and forth to the website for this challenge. We're going to stick with just the flight schedule. This is our duty day. This is what we got going on. So let's get it cracking. Let's hop into the sim, fire up our A cars because we got to get credit for the flights, and we can get rocking and rolling. Alrighty, folks, first thing we want to do is go ahead and get the 8 cars fired up. I just want to get that out of the way so I don't forget. You can see I've already gone in and grabbed the next bid, Southwest Airlines Flight 1025 Charlie in this case. Phoenix to Burbank. Excited about this little flight. You can see our current location is Phoenix, so our last PIREP was approved. No problems there. But let's go ahead and set up, grab a previous route here, see what they got available, if anything. There we go. And that's pretty close to what we're actually flying. So we'll go ahead and take that one, and let me just grab this guy so that I can see what I'm doing here. So we're looking at flight level 400. I don't know if we're going to make it that high. We'll see. We'll put it up there, 400, and we'll see what happens. So flight level 400, she's ready to rock and roll. Scheduled for 737-700. That's what we're actually flying. Yes. I've already started. I have a little surprise for everybody today. It's the start of our arrival. Then from there on to Basel down to Koppel, then to PMD, and then the rest remains the same as it was before from there. And of course, when we get down here, we're going to go from Lynx directly to Mikey. We're not going to be going to Van Nuys. Other than that, the arrival briefing remains the same as it was before. ATIS is still 134.5, SoCal approach on 120.40. Keeping in mind the terrain way out here, let's see, we need to be, it looks like we need to be, or we need to expect flight level 240 out at HEC. We're going to probably be above that anyway. 14,000 at Koppel is what's expected, and then expect at or below 13,000 at PMD. So we'll probably take a look at the FMC, make sure that stuff's programmed in there, but other than that, your arrival briefing remains the same as it was earlier. Oh, and by the way, the weather's pretty close to the same, so it should be another fun approach. Alright, of course, as you can see, we're coming up on the top of the descent here pretty quickly. We need to set up a couple of things here. What do we need? 3,700 on the MCP altitudes. Just going to scroll that down first. A little hiccup there. That's too far. There we go. 3,700. Let's see what else we got here. I mean, that's it. That's literally it. I mean, we got to monitor our speed. We got to change the altimeter, the transition altitude, all of that stuff. We are going to switch this back over to radio. As you can see, it is still quite foggy down there. Weather is for the most part the same. I did a new approach briefing anyway, but I did not mention in the approach briefing we're going to have a good bit of a crosswind. Technically, we probably should be landing on runway 15, but the wind's slow enough, 5 knots, that we can get away with landing in a crosswind. And I want to land on runway 8 again, because why not? Flying into Burbank twice, let's fly into runway 8 twice. So good to go on that. You'll have your approach briefing here in just a couple of minutes, and I don't think there's anything else. We've got this is the last flight of the day, so that's good at least. I looked at the time here recently, so some guys asked me, how long does it take to get all this done? So if you look at it, we've got 3 hours of actual flying time, probably another hour of startup, shutdown, quick turn, all that stuff. So probably 4 hours total time in the aircraft for me, but actual recording time, it's been 7 hours since I started. It's been 7 hours, so it definitely takes some extra time. And then you see when the video is all said and done, I'm hoping to have this one around probably 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So 2.5 hour video, that's 7 hours of recording, and then it's going to take me another hour and a half, 2 hours probably to edit it, and then another hour and a half for it to render, and another hour for it to upload. So this video right here, you're looking at about 11 to 12 hours total time. So a lot goes into these, and that's why I appreciate your support so much, because I wouldn't take the time to do all of this if I didn't have the support that I have from the community. And I try to respond to comments as much as I can in the comments section. I've started popping up comments here, which, by the way, you may have noticed I went ahead and disregarded the whole do you care if I put your name up here thing or not. If it bothers you, please send me a message, and I will not do it again in the future. But you know, all those comments that I popped up, I have to erase all those names, and that's a lot more work. You're talking another 30 to 45 minutes to do that. And I'd like to start popping up more comments to show everybody what some of you have to say. So I'm going to go ahead and continue doing that. But if you have any issues or concerns or whatsoever with your name appearing on the screen, your YouTube channel name, because that's the name I'm using, it's a comment copied directly from there, then please let me know, and I will make a note of it somewhere so that I don't put your name up there again. But I doubt anybody's going to have any issues with that. Anyway, enough talky talk. We're into the descent now. We're going to take her on down there, and then when we get a little closer, we'll take care of the approach checklist, and we'll wrap this thing up. Oh, that being said, we do need to do the approach briefing. So let's go ahead and knock out the approach briefing right now. That way we've got it done and out of the way, and then the next thing we'll do is the approach checklist. Alright, to eliminate any confusion this time on the approach, we are going to fly the ILS Z or Zulu 8 approach again. We are going to start the approach out here at Mikey, so we'll skip Van Nuys, come straight out to Mikey, then to Silex, Boudet, and then CFBXN. I don't know if that's supposed to mean anything. Runway same as before, 1,768 meters of runway, 3-degree glide slope with PAPI lights on the left-hand side. Everything remains the same, including the weather, except that the ceiling is a little bit higher now, so it's about 2,000 feet, vice 1,000 feet. Still 109.5 on the frequency. You got it tuned into the radios already. The ATIS is 134.5, tower on 118.7, and ground on 123.9. And that is it. Other than that, everything about the approach remains the same. So let's see if we can grease another landing. Alright, we're making the turn from Mikey down to Silex. You can see we're below 10,000 feet now. Still a lot of fog down there. Some open areas as well, though. But it looks like, I mean, we're going to be over here. It looks like we're going to be rolling right back into the fog. Another hiccup there, sorry. Right back into the fog prior to landing. So it is what it is. That's what we expected. That's fantastic. let's go ahead and take care of this approach checklist. The approach has been selected and briefed. Nav radios are set for the approach, both of them on 109.5, just in case that fog drops a little lower than we expect. Approaching the intercept, we want to be at 180, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to slow this bad boy down now. And let's bring it down to 180 here. My son just walked in while I was recording there. I don't know what he was going to do, but I made him leave. Okay, slowing down to 180 there, so we're good on that. Auto brakes are set. We're not going to do max auto brakes this time. We're going to do auto brakes 3, because she stopped really quick last time. I don't know that we need max auto brakes, because we're going to be approaching slow again. 122 knots is our landing speed, so 127 on the approach. Auto spoilers need to be armed. We'll do that right now. There we go. Engine start switches in continuous. We've already done that. That's good. And then once we hit the final approach fix, or once we're on glide slope, then we'll go ahead and drop the landing gear and so on. So that being said, let's go ahead and hit the localizer, VOR localizer switch here, or button, whatever you want to call it. And you can see it's armed now. It's in white. That means it's armed. When it intercepts the localizer, it'll turn green and it'll say LOC or localizer here in the middle. And once that's done, we can go ahead and arm the approach button as well. We're already set to flaps 5. We don't want to go to flaps 10 until we get geared down. We'll just get this annoying buzzer, and it'll drive me insane, and I just don't want to hear that. And I think I need to sneeze again. I'm really trying not to, though. This stuffiness is ridiculous. I know you can hear it in my voice, too. It's just like, oh, for the love of my sanity. Yeah. And I have such an amazing voice otherwise, right? Right? Yeah, that's what I thought. Anyway. Just waiting for it to come in and intercept the localizer here. It'll do that here momentarily. We're just about on it. You can see right here this little diamond at the bottom here. As soon as that gets in the middle, this will change. And we're already starting to make the turn. There you go. VOR, LOC. This turn to magenta. We're looking good. So let's hit the approach switch. There we go. And now glide slope is armed. And we can bring our speed down, actually. Let's go ahead and slow to 160. And that keeps us a little above our minimum speed for flaps 5. And then as soon as we intercept the glide slope, we'll bring the landing gear down and go to flaps 10. And then we can start going through the gears. Start going through the flap settings at that point. We'll bring our speed all the way down to 127 at that point. So we're just waiting on that right now. Just waiting for the glide slope intercept. Again, same thing. This little diamond, there it is. Bam, just like that. It's on single channel, so we want to hit the second autopilot in case we need it. Let's bring the landing gear down.
Gear down.
Go to flaps 10, and let's drop that speed all the way to 127. There we go. And we want to go to the next flap setting right away, because you can see we're almost at our minimum. We were almost at our minimum speed for flaps 10, so we want to get up to the next setting quickly. And then we can go to flaps 30. I'm sorry, 25, then 30. There's flaps 30 right there. And then full flaps. And we're looking fantastic here. Oh, except for my stuffy nose. We're fantastic except for that. Okay, little jump as the track IR comes on. There it is. Now, just like before, once it settles here, I'm going to let it settle for a second. I'm going to turn the auto throttle off first, and then we'll turn the autopilot off once we have a visual on the runway, and or once we have a good visual on the runway. And that's just because it's a little easier to get that auto throttle off and then just have to worry about the autopilot. I don't want to have to worry about both of them, because you have to turn both of them off. And then you have to hit both these switches. And in the real world, it wouldn't be that hard. You know, you just have your co-pilot flip the switches for you, and you're right as rain. But here in the simulation world, I have to do it myself. I don't have any commands. Actually, I could probably set them up, maybe with voice attack or something, but whatever. You can see the speed got a little bit high there. She's a little bouncy coming in. That's all right. We're at the outer marker right now. That's what's blinking right there. That's the outer marker. We don't have the volume turned on for the ILS Morse code identifier. I turned that off because it's annoying. Oh goodness, we have gone ahead and set the VOR. Which one is it? It's VTU is set as the backup here. So if we have to do a missed approach, we can just click on that and we'll be good to go. So still can't see the runway. Just letting her settle a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and take the auto throttles off now. And good to go on that. Just kind of keep an eye on the speed. We're really close. We're right in between 28 and 29. Just back them off a tiny bit. It doesn't take a big change to make a big difference on your airspeed, so just something to keep in mind. I always hate how they're not quite even. You know what I mean? No matter what I do, no matter how many times I calibrate, they're never even. It's really frustrating. Back them off just a bit there. Still don't have the runway in sight. I think I can see the runway lights just barely out ahead of us, but we're going to wait until we have a good clear view of the runway. It's starting to come into sight now, so we should have no problem making our landing, which is good.
1,000.
Because I don't want to do any go-arounds. We're at 1,000. There's our 1,000-foot call out there. We're below the ceiling. You should be able to see the runway pretty clearly by now. If you're watching in full screen, then I guarantee you saw it already. Let it get just a little closer in here before I go ahead and kick off that autopilot. I want to make sure we're not going to have a cloud move between us and the runway. That happens to me a lot. Alright, looking good there. I've got a good view of the runway. Let's go ahead and kick the autopilot off. Gotta hit that twice, gotta hit that. Okay, there we go. And our rate of descent looks good. Maintain that. Our speed is good. She's drifting just a little bit because that crosswind coming off the left-hand side. But overall, we're looking fantastic. I need to shift in my seat a little bit here. Probably not the best time to have to do that, huh? Oh, there she is. She's crabbing into the wind is what's happening. So, that's alright though. Alright, let's listen to the call outs. Let's try and grease one here.
Minimums. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Oh, floated it. I barely touched it and it floated.
Come with me, I see it in your eyes. Don't you try to fight it. Read my signs, my sun's about to rise. Let's go wild in the moonlight. Chances come and go, so choose to follow. We may never know, so forget tomorrow. It's just temporary, temporary love.
I was so busy looking at the auto brakes there to turn them off that I started to wander to the right side of the runway. That's no good. And there's a gate for us right there. Look at that. Going to put those spoilers down, bring the flaps up. We're not even going to turn taxi lights on this time since they just be shining in their face anyway. And I'm trying to avoid doing that. Alright, get her centered up here. I hate how it does that little turn at the end. They really don't do that. They don't. And it should be right around in here. We'll see how close that is when we get a chance. Alright, fantastic. Put the parking brake on. And let me turn track IR off. Little jump here. There it is. Let's get the APU started. You know, because the taxi's so short, it probably would have been wise to start the APU prior to landing as part of the approach checklist. Something to keep in mind for the future. Probe heat can come off. Window heat can come off now. Looking good on all of that. We'll take care of the other stuff here in a minute. Let's just get that APU up and running. We're going to leave pack signs on for just a minute here. Can't offload quite yet. I want to get the... well, you know, I could have just done ground power, right? Yeah, that was kind of stupid of me now that I think about it. I can just go in here and go to set the wheel chocks, ground power, shrink that down, and then we can turn ground power on, and now we can turn engines off. There we go. That's what I should have done. I should have just not even worried about the APU. Let's just turn that back off. Because they can hook up the ground power while the engines are running. I've seen them do it. So, okay, good to go on that. Good to go there. Engines are off. Let's go ahead and get passengers unloading now. We'll do airport terminal services. Let's pop open some doors for them. Next page, get those cargo doors open. Fantastic. And let's take care of this after landing checklist at this point. Speed brake lever is up, flaps are up, probe heat is off, engine start switches are off, landing lights are off, taxi lights aren't needed at this point, strobe lights need to come off still. Click that twice, there we go. Flight directors need to come off. 1 and 2, and we need to put transponder to standby, and APU start if needed. We're not going to need it. So that would actually take care of our after landing checklist. And that being said, we can actually roll right into our shutdown and secure checklist, and we'll actually do the whole thing this time. So brakes are on, which they are. Start levers are cut off. Ground power is on. Doors are open. Stairs are up. Fuel pumps are off. They are not off. Fuel pumps off. Here, let's hop up here because there's a couple other things too. Yaw dampers got to go off. These guys got to go off. That's already off. We can turn packs to the off position. Isolation valve will leave as is. APU bleed can stay as is. Okay, let's finish this checklist here. Signs are off. We didn't turn those off yet. I meant to. Window heat is off. Probe heat is off. Electric hydraulics are off. All bleeds off. Okay, there we go. All bleeds off. Isolation valve, it says to close it, so let's go ahead and close it. Recirc fan stays on auto. External lighting can come off at this point. That one, that one, that one, and that one. Battery off and then ground power off. So battery is this guy off. Whoops, no, you gotta leave that up. Off. Emergency lights off. Nope, wrong way, that's on. We want off, and then ground power off. And we can still see some fog off in the distance there. Let's go ahead and take care of our A cars really quickly. Boy, we have been spot on today, folks. Look at that. Scheduled for 1 hour and 5 minutes. We are at 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 50 seconds. So we're going to wait the extra 10 seconds and call this another flight that is spot on. Really good on that, actually. So we'll wait 2 more seconds here. Go ahead and end the flight. We went 1 second over. My bad. File the PIREP. There she goes. Close that out. And that's going to wrap it up for this duty day, folks. That's day 3. 3 good flights in today. A lot of fun, a lot of work, but a lot of fun. I had a good time with it. If you haven't already done so, please go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Up to 2,700 subscribers. Thank you so much. As I said earlier, I really appreciate all your support. And something I haven't thought about, but video likes. I think that's what, the more video likes I get, the easier it is to find my videos in the search and stuff like that. So hit the like button too if you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit the like button on the video as well. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and you can also follow us over on Twitch at CaptainMac3588. We will be getting back to live streams, I do promise you. It's simply a matter of it's that time of year. It's really hard to do it right now, and I've got a plan for our next live streams, the next several of them, which involves a flight over to Vietnam in a DC-3 called Flying the Hump, so we'll be doing that sometime not too long after the new year. And for those of you who asked about it, yes indeed, we are going to do a series called Ashley Learns to Fly, and what I've decided we're going to do, and the president of National is going to beat me up for this. No, probably not. Is we're going to start her out in a little Cessna, just like a real you would in the real world. We're going to do probably two flights per aircraft category. So we'll get a couple flights in a Cessna, get the basics out of the way, go to twin engines, then to turboprops, then the jet aircraft, and work our way all the way up to that 747. And then the culmination of that series is going to be Ashley flying a flight for National Virtual Airlines. Under my supervision, of course. So look forward to that. We will have another Life of Virtual Cargo pilot video coming out pretty soon as well. Just trying to get some of these flights knocked out here for this challenge. So that's going to wrap it up for this one, folks. Thank you again for taking the time to watch me bump my gums and fly around like a madman. I really enjoyed it, and I hope that you did too. Everybody have a fantastic and Merry Christmas. And yeah. That's it. I'm not sure if there's anything else to say. Well, there is one more thing to say. As always, ladies and gentlemen, keep the blue side up unless otherwise instructed by ATC. God bless you all, and have a fantastic day.